Thankfully, Buck came in and let me know I had the wrong profile on. But, we're fine. And we're live. And welcome to the Vomitorium, number 63. I am your host, The Metal, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. And already in here are Buck and Dillard. Usually we're not used to people being in the show at the beginning. They usually hop in close to the end. So thank you for coming around. How you guys doing today?
I'm good.
I'm doing pretty good, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess we'll get into things we want to talk about. Before I hop into topics, Marsupial, was there anything you wanted to talk about?
Not really.
Okay. Figured I'd ask. Sometimes you have something.
You got a couple of interesting ones that I'm sure I'll enjoy.
Okay. Well, then we'll start with the developer-related stuff. And have you heard of Epic's MetaHuman creator?
Nope.
Okay. So this would probably interest you directly. Like I said, it can help out developers, especially those who aren't necessarily artistically inclined, for wanting to make realistic, high-fidelity human models in a fraction of the time. And it's in-browser, so it uses the Unreal Engine plugin for browsers. And it basically scans and uses an entire archive of, like, thousands of faces to allow you to manipulate the one you're working on in, like, a character editor form, even body types and stuff, too. And you can make reasonably realistic and varying models of the, like, characters you're trying to put into a game.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, I've looked at the preview. There's a whole little video on it that you can watch on Unreal's website, and it looks really good. Like, I'm not one for hyper-realistic games or anything. They don't really appeal to me. But for people looking into that, it's like, it's a really good-looking editor. It looks like the type of stuff you're used to seeing in like the trailers for these games, like Cyberpunk and stuff. Not necessarily what things always end up looking like in the game. That'll vary on experience, but at least the stuff that they try to promote out to attract people. And it might even be good for, say, writers in the comic book field as well, who want to give an idea of what a character should look like to their artist and can't really describe it well, so they could actually at least design the face of the character instead. It's like, I want it to roughly look like that person.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of applications for it.
I'm watching the video. I just watched them turn an old man into a young woman.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Changing the shape of their lips and eyes, and that's really awesome. I mean, they look real. They look like real people. It's astounding.
And, like, for a long time, aside from Unreal, I really haven't cared about Epic as a company. I mean, they have, like, one of the worst storefronts, and they have some cool practices when it comes to trying to get games onto, like, multi-platform and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just didn't care about them. I saw this thing and, like, oh, You're actually doing very useful things for, I guess, gaming as a whole, other than just owning the Unreal Engine. Like, you're using the Unreal Engine to do interesting things. I could see... have you heard of the streamer Code Miko?
No.
So Code Miko is a VTuber whose entire thing takes place in the Unreal Engine. She's got, like, a separate computer off to the side that is, like, running the Unreal Engine with her, like, little loft for the character, and it's reading her movements in kind of like a mocap way, and then remapping it onto the character in there. And she was a developer for doing that type of stuff in Unreal before she became a VTuber herself. And I could see this thing being used to create virtual avatars and personalities very well, like, easily. Like, anybody would probably be able to jump into it that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. It looks like it is not out yet, but it says This is going to be an early access program in the next few months, and they've got a few samples out right now that you can get. But yeah, if you want to do actual editing of the faces yourself, it's not quite out yet. But
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to register for updates at least.
Oh, I am too. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I might even use it from like just an artistic perspective, because sometimes if you want just a photo reference, you're like, the thing I want a photo reference of doesn't exist. Well, I could make it exist now and then have a photo reference to go off of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's 3D, so
Yeah.
you can have
And I'm sure
even
because
better than photo.
Yeah, because it's in Unreal, so you could probably, if you can't do it in the editor, you could probably export the model to the Unreal Engine, change the lighting and stuff like that, see how the shadows would contort from different directions and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's tied in directly to the engine, and which is free to download. You can get the Unreal Engine, and until you unless you're going to use it to create a game that you're going to sell.
It's basically free up to the point that you're going to make money off of it.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I think you can even make a game as long as it's freeware and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And then if you make a game, I think they just charge a percentage, right?
Yeah. A licensing royalty.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great way to do it, because they only make money if you make money. It's having like really good faith in the customer, or knowing that you have so many customers that the fact that this thing already exists and you technically have infinite copies of them, you don't need to have faith in any individual customer.
Yeah. It basically says, according to, I'm looking at their pricing, it's only a 5% royalty. It says 5% royalty when your product succeeds. Look at that. First $1 million of lifetime gross revenue is royalty exempt.
Oh, wow.
So you have to make $1 million before you even pay any royalties.
Yeah, that's a great deal for an indie dev. That's probably why they did that, because they want more indie developers spreading their program around. Because up until recently, like the last few iterations, I think Unreal 1, 2, and 3, because I think 4 was the first one they even had any free model for. With 1, 2, and 3, you basically had to be a AAA company or close to be able to afford to use the engine. Or at least be partnered with some type of production company.
Mm-hmm.
But now anybody can hop in.
Yeah, I remember when they made that free. It was a big deal.
Yeah,
so I think Unity is free, is similar, right?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how the price model works. Unity was always marketed as freeware, but not necessarily open source. So I do believe you have to pay a royalty for anything you sell with it. Or is it the other way around? It's open source, but not free. I forget.
Well, let's see. They still have a Unity Pro that's $1,800 per year per user.
That's ridiculous. For what you get out of Unity, that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and Unity Enterprise is $2,400 per person.
Yeah.
The minimum of 10.
It's not to call Unity a bad program or anything, because if you're good and you know what you're doing, there's a lot of stuff you could do with Unity. There have been some really good games made out of it, but it's just like really bulky and clunky, and it's not surprising that most people that touch it make shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and Unity is a little bit, it's weird. It has kind of a weird, what do you call it? Just the game engine itself Um, it's all event driven, and it's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Plus, it's not very good for 2D games.
Yeah, if you're trying to make like a 3D like adventure game, anywhere from like a walking simulator to maybe a basic combo hack and slash, Unity's a pretty good engine for dipping your toe into the waters.
Yeah. I really actually can't believe they charge $1,800 per year.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
And you have to pay for a full year.
Instead of by the month.
Yeah, I could see that like 5 years ago, but since Unreal basically became free, like how can they justify that? It's interesting. I don't know.
I don't know. I think I'd rather just use Unreal anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine Unreal does pretty well because here's the thing with Unity, you pay $1,800 per year. If you make $1 million, $10 million, or whatever on your project, you don't pay them another dime. So, I don't know. I guess that could be a good deal if you make a successful game with it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I remember, I never used it, but I remember when 4 came out with the UDK for the Unreal Developer Kit. I went and downloaded it anyway. And I'm like, man, I should really learn how to do stuff with it. And it just kind of just sat there forever, taking up space on my hard drive.
Yeah. They must have a free one. Okay, they have a plus version for $400 a year. Oh, wait, okay, so let me look at individual. Okay, so there is student, there's personal. So you can get a personal version, but then you basically can't use it. You can't make money off of it.
Yeah.
So you upgrade to pro or whatever. Okay, so it says revenue or funding less than 100,000. So up to 100,000. It's free.
Man, Epic really shot them when they decided, no, up to $1 million, you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Whole order of magnitude more. We don't care.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with Unreal Engine, you only start to pay that 5% from the 1 million point onward.
Yeah.
So you'd only pay on a $2 million revenue project. You'd only pay 5% on the second million.
I don't get why Unity cares so much. Don't they make most of their money off of the store? Because most games are just Unity assets that people buy and flip into their game.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe most of those people don't make over 100,000.
I guess, I don't know. I would assume they don't. I've seen some of these games. I don't know who would pay that much money for them. Oh, did we lose Marsupial? What happened?
What? Marsupial's gone?
Yeah, he died for a second.
Discord decided to crash. That was interesting.
Yeah, okay.
And it exploded.
Yeah, so I think, all in all, the MetaHuman creator seems like a really good product, and I'm definitely going to follow more about it as time goes on.
Yeah.
Maybe give some updates to the people
cool.
listening.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Can't wait to see what comes from that.
So in other news, that the one that interests you, the new Legend of Zelda trademarks fuel a remaster collection speculation. So now there's rumors going around that with certain trademarks that were renewed, which one was Wind Waker and the other being Phantom Hourglass, that we might be getting a remaster collection of stuff. Now, that bothers me, though, because I really don't want a remaster of Wind Waker, since we just got one not too long ago. You could just port that over, and it wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing they're going to do.
But if they made a triple pack, I wouldn't mind having Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks all in one Switch cartridge.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
because they're all related.
But I kind of would
They're all-
rather have Skyward Sword ported to the Switch. In all honesty.
I thought I saw Skyward Sword was also one of the trademarks they renewed.
It might be. I'm not seeing it on the list of things. I could have an
Um,
incomplete list.
yeah, I think I see the article that you're looking at, but I saw somewhere that there were more. I'll have to find it. But
And
yeah, I do see where those three.
much like Mario games, the Zelda games are no stranger to collection, especially during the GameCube era, when they were kind of like in between stuff before Wind Waker came out. There were ports of Ocarina of Time that were very common, that would also come with like a demo for Wind Waker. It would come with like the Four Swords stuff, and there's just like a bunch of different GameCube discs that would
Mhm.
be collections of Zelda things. Some of them even having like a Link to the Past and stuff on there too. So it'd be nice if we just got like a little chunky collection. I don't even need them to be fully remastered. You could just upscale them to HD, right? I mean, that's what they did with the Mario games. They didn't touch it. If you're gonna do that though, at least give us more games. Don't just throw 3 old ones into like a cartridge and sell it for $60. That's kind of like a dick move.
Yeah. I'm trying to find.
Oh, I missed this from GMT. People are still making games in the Quake engine, and that's been open source for ages. Quake's engine is great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't find. I know I saw it. I think I saw it on the oh, what's it called? On a podcast. The oh shit, what's it called? The Zelda. Shit. Completely forgotten the name of the podcast. The Hylian Gamescast. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Otherwise known as Game Over Jesse. They were talking about this, and I could have sworn that they said that Skyward Sword was also recently, or I guess back in July, June or July, was renewed.
Okay. See,
And they
I
said
want
that.
Skyward Sword because that's the one almost nobody has played. Because of how late it was on the Wii when it came out, that a lot of people just like skipped it. And it's kind of like maybe the most important game in the series, because it explains why everything keeps happening every cycle, with Demise's anger reincarnating itself over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to explain that to somebody, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who the fuck is Demise?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people were turned off by the controls.
Yeah.
So it would be nice if they updated it to use just a normal controller. Well, back in
Twilight Princess, you could have just played the GameCube version of the game.
Right, exactly. So apparently, Ocarina of Time, that trademark was renewed back in August of last year.
Yeah.
So
I don't think
that
really surprises anyone, because it's like the most reprinted version of Zelda.
Yeah. Yeah, so okay, here we go. August 11th, a Twitter user called Nazirus07, compared what they did in 2019 to what they did in 2020. And what the hell? I'm trying to. Okay, anyway. Let's see. Out of nowhere, Legend of Zelda just registered a new trademark this July, and it covers a lot of classes. It says 99% for next year's Zelda 35th anniversary. Which is exactly what they did the year before for Mario.
Yeah, yeah. Because otherwise,
it's
if there wasn't a big
merch.
anniversary coming up, nobody would bat an eye. Because you have to renew your trademarks every so often anyway. But typically with a big anniversary, you'll renew your trademarks early because you have something in store. You won't wait for the last minute to do that.
Right, exactly. So I guess this was for merch.
Yeah.
But somewhere, I think on the Hylian Gamescast, they mentioned that Skyward Sword was in there somewhere, so that would be cool.
Yeah, I hope so. Especially because more people need to be introduced to Groose and his amazing theme.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I think you and I talked about it too. We asked him, like, what kind of theme would John Dillard have? That would be his theme.
Oh, yeah? I don't even remember it.
We talked about it. Oh,
I have a
you don't
theme?
remember Groose's theme? Yeah.
What does it sound like?
Oh, you know what? Because I don't really give a shit if we get copyright strike. Let me pause the music and I'll go pull up Groose's theme real quick.
Okay, while you're doing that, I found... Okay, so here's an article from January of 2020 that says that they renewed Skyward Sword, Phantom Hourglass, Ocarina of Time, and Wind Waker, and The Adventure of Link.
Oh, nice.
And I still don't see Spirit Tracks, unfortunately.
Me
But yeah.
this up just a bit.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, back in January of last year, Skyward Sword. This is the John Dillard theme.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's a lot of comment.
This sounds like a theme for a fat guy.
Oh, no, Groose is not a fat guy. But, like, personality-wise...
But this theme is for a fat guy.
No, it's for, like, a really bombastic guy. That's what it is.
It's a tuba.
No, dude, if you ever play the game or watch... if Marsupial ever plays it on stream or whatever and you can watch it, Groose and you have very similar personalities.
He's definitely not that.
Yeah, no.
This
He's
is a guy
actually,
waddling. I can see it in my head. The guy's waddling down the street with this music playing.
No, he's got like a Gaston body
It's like a comic book guy.
No, his body is like Gaston.
Was Gaston fat?
I'm
No,
flattered.
Gaston was not fat. Gaston was like muscular.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Talking about, like Beauty and the Beast Gaston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big personality theme. Yes, that's what it is, Mr. Squeakers.
All right. Does $26 for a bundle of 25 80-pound paper prints sound reasonable?
I don't know.
80-pound is like, it's just a little bit lighter than like the Bristol that you draw a comic book on.
Yeah, the covers that I get at Kablam are 80 pound. But they're high gloss.
Right. And these are also gloss.
Yeah, for a high gloss, that
11 by
doesn't sound
17.
unreasonable.
Yeah?
Yeah, that doesn't sound unreasonable. GMT says if you had a theme, Dillard, it would be closer to the Inspector Gadget theme.
I'm not even an investigator. I'm not even in the detective squad. I was kept out.
Now you're a
Wait,
gate kept
shouldn't that be GMT's theme? Because isn't she
Robo?
Detective Squad and a robot?
No, it'd be she'd have the theme to My Life as a Teenage Robot.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
She a
Which is a pretty
teenager?
good show. She was at one point, right?
She is dum 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 artist John Dillard. Dum 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 dum. That's great. I imagine she was a teenager. I don't know. Maybe when she was built as an adult robot.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to remember XJ9, who was the character from the show. Was she even started out as a teenager? Because I think they even showed baby pictures, like her creator was upgrading her throughout the years to be older.
What is XJ9?
Jenny Wakeman. She was the main character of My Life as a Teenage Robot. It was, I believe, Nickelodeon cartoon show. It's a really good show.
Fascinating. Robotic Global Response Unit, XJ9.
Yep. Or because of the J9, Jenny.
It says Jenny was designed as a teenager of about 16 years of age.
She was built as a teenager, okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I should go watch it again, though. It was a good show. Because every
But
joke
she was
about it was being a teenager. But from the perspective of not actually being a teenager.
Mm-hmm. She had the adolescent mind of a 15-year-old.
I remember there was an episode that they made her go back to preschool because it was revealed that she's actually 2 years old.
Yeah. There was also an episode where she was going through puberty because the evil space robots or whatever infected her with something. So she started getting like nuts and bolts on her face, like pimples, and her body started growing in weird ways. Until she freaked out into a hulking monster.
GMT.
So Katie Kaboom puberty.
Yes, Katie Kaboom style puberty.
Mm-hmm. So fascinating.
I like the main villain, the robot. She was like a Vespa. So the joke was that she was literally a queen bee, and she acted like one. And by bee, I mean bitch.
Okay, so this is like in the style of like Powerpuff Girls. Sort of.
I guess more or less. It's not quite the same, but you could see some similarities in it.
Did this come out in 2016?
No. That came out when I was in, I think, either middle school or high school. I'm trying to remember when that came out. Sometime in the aughts.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I just remember.
I've never heard
of the show.
I've never heard of this show.
Of course, you were probably already an adult by then.
I was, totally.
Yep.
I'm totally an adult now.
I sometimes question if I'm an adult.
I haven't watched that many episodes, and it has been years since I saw those, says Mr. Squeakers. Fascinating.
Yeah,
How
there was
did
a
we
lot of
get-
robot shows that were popular at that time. Because right around then, Cartoon Network also had a show that was called Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, which was a show about a robotic kid attending high school. But it was different because Jenny was more of like the Astro Boy route, where it was designed to be a person and she was attending school and stuff like that, but also fighting aliens and other robots and stuff. While whatever happened to Robot Jones was more of like a traditional Cartoon Network style comedy, where the setting was the fact that the robot was in high school, but there was nothing mystical or combat. It was just stupid sitcom-y stuff.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, the pilot for this show came out in 1999.
Oh.
Squeaker says, "Loved robots, still love robots. I've got a robot." Oh. Is it
Yeah, robots are
GMT?
pretty good. Another one of my favorite shows from around that time was on Cartoon Network. Very short-lived, and it was called Megas XLR. And it was about a guy who found a giant robot, but the head was missing. And the giant robot was from the future. So he attached a car onto the top of it and basically figured out how to pilot the robot from his car. And they got into all kinds of hijinks. The actual owner of the robot went back in time too, and when she finally found him, she couldn't drive a stick shift. She had absolutely no idea how this car was supposed to operate with the robot, and had to leave it to Coop to pilot it. And it took place in New Jersey too, of all places. And it was such a crazy show. I remember like there was a spider thing too that was attacking. It was like a nanobot thing that kept feeding on things and getting bigger the more it fed on it. And they were trying to get like a Slurpee type thing from like 7-Eleven. But it was like all fake names of it because they couldn't use the actual ones. And every time they went to another 7-Eleven, walking down the street in their giant robot, the monster ended up destroying it because it just happened to be there. And there was a bit that, being somebody whose family is from New Jersey, just made me laugh so hard. He's like, that was the last Slurpee machine in all of New Jersey. Well, there's always the one in Hoboken. Yeah, but that's Hoboken. So they just completely deny going and getting a Slurpee and taking their rage out on the monster because nobody wants to go to Hoboken. They also destroy the DMV in the first episode.
Well, that's always good.
I like how the Hoboken jokes just continue with anybody who has any knowledge of Jersey and New York.
Yeah. You know, they actually
Like,
really
even with
cleaned up Hoboken.
Yeah, because even Nickelodeon's Penguins of Madagascar, they brought up the Hoboken Zoo, and apparently it's like the idea was that being sent to the Hoboken Zoo was the flat-out worst thing that could happen to a zoo animal.
Yeah, Hoboken for a while was just a hive of scum and villainy. No, it was trash and crime, mostly trash. The crime's not as bad as it was other places, but not a very good place to live, and they cleaned it up a lot not too long ago. But if you know the history of it, it deserved all the jokes about it.
Well, in other news, guess what movie's coming out on April 8th, 2022?
Oh, what movie?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh, yeah. My brother sent me the preview for that. I didn't even look at it. I was just like, listen, I didn't like the first one. I had no interest in the first one. Why would you think I'm interested in the second one?
Because it's got tails.
Oh, Tails! Oh, Miles Prowler!
Cool.
Does that mean the third one is going to have Knuckles?
Probably.
You can only hope, I guess. But it won't actually have Knuckles. It'll be another Sonic and Tails, but then a like Lion King 1 1/2 style movie will come back, showing that Knuckles had been there the whole time.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, all they've shown is the like the logo, which has tails on it.
Let's see, Megas XLR had a theme song that was almost as good as Mystery Science Theater 3000. Oh, dude, Chicks Dig Giant Robots is a great song. I listen to it sometimes, just like on my playlist.
Will Knuckles know the way? That's the question.
The fourth one will only be available on CD. Oh, that'd be awful. Like you watch it in theaters and it's fine, but it's not even on a DVD. It's like highly compressed on a CD. It looks like a video game you played on your computer back in the 90s.
Will they do one based on Sonic 06? Where it's all glitchy and
I hope not.
boring and and there's a princess that like has a sex scene with Sonic.
Oh,
You know,
fuck
it's
yeah.
not
A
the
human
first time that they tried to hook Sonic up with a humanoid.
Uh-huh.
There was
It's just the most
a cat girl in like the 2000
Oh, no.
Sonic the Hedgehog OVA movie. No, she was like the daughter of the president, and then I'm just like, why? Why, Sonic? Why? What is your thing with human-like women?
Yeah. Weird.
Just go with Amy. She likes you.
Yeah, isn't she supposed to be the love interest? Isn't she
In her mind, yes.
Yeah, it hurts. She's like a stalker almost.
Isn't
Not
she a
almost.
hedgehog?
She's like flat out a stalker. She's literally chasing him all the time.
Well, he should get caught.
She's so dumb too. She thinks any other hedgehog that is a male from a distance is possibly Sonic. She like rescued Shadow or whatever. Or no, she didn't rescue. She came up to Shadow thinking that Shadow was Sonic. Then she did like the same thing with Silver, right? But then the one time it actually was Sonic, when he was a werehog, she's like, oh, you definitely aren't Sonic because you're not the right size.
Well, the worst part is she ran up and hugged him thinking it was Sonic, and then she like second guessed herself when she actually looked up at him.
Yeah. Freaking Amy. Even in Sonic CD, she was kind of that way, right? She was a little kid that was rescued, but she was like a groupie. She was so thankful, and she'd like be chasing after him and trying to kiss him and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, like Sonic's not even a teenager, right?
No, he is. He's officially 16 years old now.
Oh, okay. Like I'm still thinking like Sonic is 10 or something, like the old Sonic.
I don't know. I have to share something with you that I think you'll find fascinating.
Okay, share it with me. Let me open this up.
This is a laptop
I want
with 7 screens. You're welcome.
I don't need any more information. I want it.
They all unfold. I think
This is like a portable battle station.
I know. The article on it started with "What in the actual hell is
Like, have you ever wanted to feel like the way you think the FBI works based off of movies that you've watched? This is for you.
Yeah.
This is Soundwave when he turns into a laptop instead of a stereo.
That's right.
I only see 6 screens though. Where's the 7th screen?
I don't. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that like a tiny 7th one there? Maybe. I don't know. So the article said.
This is fake news. Get out of here.
It says this laptop has 7 screens for when 6 isn't enough. Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. Yeah, I only count 6. Where's the 7th?
Are they counting that phone?
Maybe. I'm so confused. I don't know.
Or does it have like one of those old Nintendos where another screen is on the bottom part of the laptop?
Oh, maybe. Oh, it's hard to tell, but could
Well, that
be.
looks like a trackpad in the center.
Yeah. Well, what about this one off to the side?
I don't know. Usually you have like a sticker there that shows all the specs of the laptop. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Supposedly there are 7 screens. I think this looks like a separate
But
screen.
to
from
like
the
describe it to people listening on the audio version later, it's got this really bulky base where the keyboard and trackpad and stuff are, and then flipped up like normal. You expect there to be a little screen, and it's kind of tiny. This looks like what? Maybe a 13 and a half, 14-inch screen at most. I'm thinking 13. That's fully wide, and then what flips up above that is another screen about the same size on like a thin panel, and then also flipping out sideways are 2 screens that actually look closer to being about 14 and a half, but they're up tall, and then 2 more screens slide out from the back of them.
Basically what it looks like. It looks like when you open up, like you're trying to break down a box to throw it away. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. It's like, how many panels
It looks
are
like
there?
it looks like somebody put a bunch of screens on like a kid's science project board.
Yeah.
It is the most 80s style laptop. It's got a shoulder pads for days.
It's like when a cartoon character starts folding up a box into smaller boxes, just in reverse.
That's basically what Dillard just said.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, dude. Could you imagine streaming with that if it's powerful enough to handle everything? Which I'm assuming so. You'd want to have a lot of RAM at least if it's going to have that many screens. Probably a lot of video memory.
Yeah.
But man, I could also imagine just DMing because I have so much shit up when I'm doing that having all those screens would be great.
Yeah. GMT says she bets there's a screen on the touchpad. I'd have to actually read the
Ooh, what if
article.
the trackpad is like a touch screen, like a little tiny one? Ooh.
That would actually be pretty cool.
3 more. So, okay. 4. Oh, they're bigger than they look. There are 4 17.3-inch screens.
17.
And 3 more. Yeah. And 3 more 7-inch screens.
So that means that base is pretty bulky.
What?
Yeah, I was expecting the base to be smaller than it was. That was what I was scaling everything off of. Zoom in on the keyboard. Go back to the original image. Does it have number?
Well, if you look at the
I might have
base,
missed.
the base has a really big gap between where you can rest your arms and the actual keyboard looks tiny on it.
Yeah, no, it does have a number pad. That's what threw me off. I didn't see that at first. Yeah, if you have a number pad, your computer's usually no less than like 16 inches.
I am still trying to figure out where the third small screen is.
It said it was
see where-
another 7-inch or whatever, like those tiny ones, right?
Yeah. Oh shoot, my computer's.
What if there's one that isn't extended from out of the top screen?
You think you would show that off though?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless this thing that looks like a phone is another
Actually, just
screen.
comes
I
with
don't-
it. It's not actually your phone.
Yeah, like a wireless. I don't know.
I mean, if it was
I
like it
don't
came with a
know.
wireless screen, like a tiny tablet, that wouldn't be bad. So you actually would have a touchscreen for doing things with.
Fascinating.
Yeah. But man, especially now that I know how big it is, I want it even more. What is the thing going to set you back like $3,000?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. $3,000. I mean, gosh,
Maybe
that's
4.
that's a cheap MacBook Pro, man.
Yeah, but MacBooks are overpriced. You're paying like half of it's paying for the brand name.
Right. Aurora 7.
I'm gonna have to look more into this thing later.
Yeah.
GMT Metal, I believe you can build that. Maybe. It'd probably be cheaper to build it, but I would need a lot of parts and a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
But can you play Doom on it? I am fairly certain you can play Doom on it.
Yeah, but can you play Skyrim on it?
For sure. You play Skyrim on an Alexa. You can play Doom on a pregnancy test, so it's like I'm not worried about whether it can play these games.
Yeah.
Have 3 games of Doom on each screen.
Timothy Olsen says that computer you would have to have 4 berets just to have it.
Ah, dang! I don't even have one. Diller's ahead of me on that.
I know. Let's corner the beret market.
Not my fault. You guys are on the late train.
All right, I'm gonna close this out.
Oh yeah, that is great. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, I just happened to come across that and just thought it was fascinating.
I'm gonna go hound the creators of that and see if there's any way I can get into some type of like product testing program.
Yeah, seriously. I wonder if they
Just
have
tell them
one.
your name's PewDiePie.
Yeah.
I'll have to contact Intel. Maybe if they're like Intel partners, maybe I could get one.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Be awesome.
I'd be like, hey, I got a podcast. Let me see if I can run it from your machine, and I'll give it very good reviews, and I'll plug it every single episode. You don't even have to pay me. The machine was enough.
Yeah. Excuse me.
I ain't afraid to sell out. I want stuff. Be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, what else is happening?
Well, I thought this was funny when I saw the article and I saw an ad for the game in the thing you were sharing. Resident Evil art director reacts to the Lady Dimitrescu fandom and says, I was struck by the comments like, I want to be chased by her. And he's having trouble wrapping his head around this obsession that the internet is having with this 9-foot-tall vampire woman. Because he doesn't understand how kind of pathetic and submissive most of the men on the internet are. It's like, I want to be stepped on by her. Why?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, like, who was it? Some girl who started doing this thing on, playing games on Twitch, commented a while back, like, why are people asking me to step on them? I don't understand this.
Oh, you're thinking of Maury Calliope, the VTuber? Did that too? Yeah. And they're just like, hurt me. It's like, is that okay? Do you want me to do that? Yeah, I mean, there's some weird people in the internet. Like they want to be spat on, stepped on, sat on, crushed, all kinds of just weird ass things.
Hmm. Yeah.
Flit. Giantess fetishes are almost as degenerate as Vorb fetishes. Almost.
Giantess.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being attracted to, like, tall women either, but, like, the idea that you want to be, I guess, dominated and forced into physical pain, I don't know, it just doesn't sound very manly to me.
Mm-hmm.
GMT says, meanwhile, I just want to be the little spoon for one. Yeah. I could probably imagine that with how tall you are.
How tall is she?
Unless I was lied to, I was told at least 6 foot.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how much of that is her actual experience or the character, but either way.
Well, my best
So
friend
I
from
think the
high
character's
school.
supposed to be 7 foot.
I thought she was like 9 feet.
So 6 foot exactly. Okay.
Okay. Well, see, my best friend from high school is a 6 foot tall girl. I was the only one she liked to dance with because I was the only one taller than her,
Yeah.
or just about the same size, same height as her.
Well, if you wear dancing shoes, it's going to give you like an inch anyway. Not going to be as high as heels, but evens the playing ground.
Yeah, she never. Well, I won't say she never wore heels, but made her even taller.
Yeah. What were the other strange things about the new Resident Evil game? I don't know. I haven't really seen much because all I've been seeing is this 9'6" vampire lady. And he even said, I don't think anyone on the team could have predicted how wonderfully fans have reacted to Lady Dimitri. Personally, I would have particularly struck by comments like, I want to be chased by her. Because they were trying to inspire fear. Not, you know, boners.
She does have like a little cult of women called witches who serve her as well, helping her track you down.
Yeah, and I don't think that helps because I don't think the witches are attractive. I'm not really into like excessive piercings in weird places. But it's almost like she has a little lesbian cult under her, and even though she's like 9'6", she's also like really curvy, so they're not helping themselves out in this department at all. Like her bust is probably bigger than most people's torsos.
The only thing I can really think of other than that just doesn't go into that direction is the fact that the other, like, zombies, and I'm using that very, very, very loosely, seem to have, like, werewolf qualities to them.
Yeah, and I think it's because the main theme is vampirics, right? So the werewolf things are probably closer to ghouls.
Mm-hmm. Whoa. Breaking news. Minds.com is down.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. What the hell?
Didn't Capcom confirm there was a pegging scene in the game? I didn't see if that was confirmed or if people were just spreading that as a rumor. If there is a pegging scene, I have literally no interest in the game. I don't really have much interest anyway. I thought 7 was a really good game because it felt like a return to like the original Resident Evil, which I liked way more than, say, like 4, 5, and 6 that were way too action heavy. But then when they made like the remakes of 2 and 3, they kept some of the original stuff but made them more and more action heavy, like 4, 5, and 6. And like, I don't like this. Why couldn't they be closer to the original? 2 not as bad because 2 is much closer. It still had like the exploration of the police department and stuff like that. Game seems too fucked up to even buy. I don't know. I actually really haven't heard too much of it. I'm gonna wait longer to say that. Like, again, I'm not sure if there actually is a pegging scene or not. I haven't seen that officially confirmed. And I don't know why Capcom would confirm that. That seems a little outside of their, what's it called? Their company's image.
Yeah, that just seems like one of those things that a bunch of people just spread around just for the hell of it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sorry, I have to tweet this.
I'm also trying to like imagine how big her hat is. Because scaling her up, her head has to be bigger than a normal person's head, right? And that hat is proportionate, so that thing must be like a small flying saucer, like UFO size thing, just sitting there right on her head. Ugh. Is size 9 or 10 hat? I don't know what the hat size is, to be honest. I don't know what her head size is to measure it. She's a animated object. You could probably use it as a sail. Yeah. You might be able to measure her head, or even her bust, eventually. If the character like that gets so popular, somebody's probably going to make a life-size statue of it.
Well, I don't know what's going on with Minds, but maybe they're rebooting their servers.
Maybe.
Yeah,
It seems
Yeah, it's backed up, but it's just like loading really, really slowly.
well interesting. Sorry, that was
Yeah.
a shock because I went over to look at it. I was like, wait, why am I logged out? Why did it log me out? And I refreshed, and it was like down
Now,
503.
I am not believing the like art director at Capcom so much that he didn't predict this would be part of the outcome, though. I guess maybe he thought the size would like surmount people's horniness, but I think everybody in the horror gaming like development community, or whatever you want to call it, knows how terribly horny gamers are. Because as frightening as the nurses from Silent Hill were designed to be, I'm certain that there are plenty of people that whipped their dicks out and started jerking it off to those nurses, because I've heard people talk about doing things like that. And if those like deformed, faceless nurses got people horny, why would you think a giant vampire who still roughly looks like a person wouldn't? Yeah, definitely no way he didn't know what he was doing. I'm calling a bull on it.
How do you think so?
That does remind me of an article that I had read in a memory recently about art directors who didn't know what they were doing. It was back when ARMS came out, and I'm trying to remember her name. I think it's like Lollipop. I don't think that's the actual name of the character. The clown character in ARMS. You know what I'm talking about? And
Yeah.
they had gotten messages back from NOA that some of the like people in the treehouse and the translators and stuff found her scary or disturbing. And the people in Japan didn't think about this because the fear of clowns is virtually non-existent in Japan. To the point that they don't even know it was a thing until that. And he responded with, "Today we have learned a weakness of the Americans." Because fear of clowns is a pretty common one over here. Not sure why.
Yeah. I don't think I have a fear of clowns, but they are creepy.
I had a problem with them when I was really young, but eventually it kind of developed more into an anger towards clowns. But specifically only heavily maked up male clowns, and I think it's because my parents showed me it when I was way too young.
Yeah.
Never had a problem with lady clowns, though. And I think it's because it was that Canadian show, Big Comfy Couch.
You know, I saw it when I was a child, and it didn't cause me to be bothered by clowns more than it, just
I don't
caused me to be
know.
bothered.
I think I was like 2 years old when I was shown that movie.
Yeah. Well, see, it wasn't out when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm pretty sure I saw it. It was on TV originally, right?
It was a mini-series, yeah.
Yeah. So I probably saw it when it was first. Okay, so it came out in 1990. So I would have been 13. So I must have seen it when I was 13.
Yeah. Well, I know it has to do with distorted, exaggerated features. I understand the psychology around it. The thing I don't understand is there's a sociological aspect where some cultures are affected by it and others aren't. Maybe it has something to do with the tradition of the Japanese kabuki theater as to why a fear of clowns isn't a thing that's common over there. There's like a cultural inoculation to it.
Yeah. I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always found it a bit odd that some people are extremely put off or afraid of clowns. Like, I never really thought they were that scary.
If you're under 10, I get it. Right? Especially because, like, with your whole view of the world is pretty distorted as it is. You don't know anything. Children being afraid of clowns makes perfect sense. Adults still having an irrational fear of clowns, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, kids believe stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I didn't want to go to Long John Silver's because I thought it was run by actual pirates.
Man, that would make me want to go there more. Pirates were cool.
Seriously.
But pirates are so cool, your parents couldn't take them. You'd be scared because you wouldn't trust your parents to be able to protect you.
Oh, I think I was hoping that maybe the pirates would kidnap me and I'd be a pirate myself.
Yeah, like the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah.
Good night, good work. Almost likely kill you in the morning.
Or even better, because I never put two and two together until I was like 12 that it was the same actor as it, so that never bothered me. If Long John Silver was actually ran by Tim Curry playing Long John Silver.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'd allow him to Shanghai me. Let's go.
You nasty.
I don't think you know what Shanghai means, but okay.
I don't think you know what a funny word Shanghai is.
Shanghai is a funny word.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's
also
the name of two funny movies.
It's also a city.
It is a city, yeah.
I'm trying to find more news, but is there anything else you found?
Let's see. I think I had a couple more things. Oh, yeah. So, I don't know if you guys are aware, but cards are kind of like a market in their own, flipping cards. Because there are rarity values to cards, so you buy packs in like a lottery, and then you sell like the rare ones.
You're talking
So
about trading
like,
cards.
yeah, trading cards. So it's almost like
What are you
buying,
talking about?
like storage spaces. Are you not aware of the card market?
No. What are you talking about?
You're talking about like
Cards for
Magic
what?
the Gathering.
Like
Who?
Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! All these trading cards. People go like to comic book stores and stuff. They'll buy as many packs as the store owner will let them buy. A lot of people are limited now because they know what they're doing. They'll basically scalp them, buy the packs cheap, and basically play the whole the law of large numbers to help their odds of getting very rare cards that will be more valuable than the amount of money they spent on the decks. And then they will flip those rare cards. That is a thing that happens.
All right.
Yeah. In fact, my brother has started getting into that with Pokemon cards. And what's funny is right now, McDonald's started running Happy Meals that have Pokemon cards in it to celebrate 25 years of Pokemon. So now there are adults that are buying McDonald's Happy Meals in bulk because a lot of the McDonald's got in trouble for just selling people the cards because kids weren't able to get the toys. And it's like, no, if you want it, you have to buy a Happy Meal. So they're just buying a bulk of Happy Meals to get all of these Pokemon cards. Which shouldn't be that valuable because they're available in Happy Meals at about the same proportion. So there's no rarity to these cards. But much like the diamond market, because everybody, or like a few people own the bulk of it, it makes the cards more valuable than they actually are.
So, I mean, are McDonald's running out of the cards?
Yeah.
Because people are buying so many?
Yeah, like kids aren't getting cards. Kids aren't even getting Happy Meals because of this, because they're running out of boxes and everything, and everything that they put into the Happy Meal.
You have to limit Happy Meals to one per customer.
McDonald's is
have
super
a kid.
shameless. I've gotten a Happy Meal for a kid, and they gave it to me in a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Lady Dimitrescu is 9 feet 6 inches.
Yeah, I said that before.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. 9.5
People need
feet
to
tall.
go on. Yeah.
Yeah, people need to chill on the cards. They do. Freaking. Because even if they give you the Happy Meal in the bag, is it really a Happy Meal if it doesn't come with the promised toy?
And like, are these official? Like, can they be used?
They're officially licensed Pokemon trading cards. Pokemon's done stuff with McDonald's many times over.
But they're not like mini or
No?
cheaper than normal Pokemon cards.
They're the same exact card you'd get in a pack, but they're ones that you can only get at McDonald's, which inherently makes them sound rare because they will only ever be printed in this McDonald's run for like the month that they do the card or whatever. But with the number of McDonald's there are and how many they will print for Happy Meals, because you have to think about how many Happy Meals are sold in a month's time, that these cards aren't rare at all.
Right.
It's kind of like, I used to get cards with like Nintendo Power, or sometimes you would get cards when you go to see the Pokemon movies, and everybody thought that these were great cards because they'd be like legendary Pokemon or whatever. Like, I used to have 5 different types of Mewtwo at one point in time, but none of those cards are rare because they were promotional stuff, you know, and everybody had them.
Very easy to find. By the way, Bullet, that was the very first thing I asked Metal when I logged on. Maybe they should have McDonald-related Pokemon.
Maybe. There's what's that?
Is there
Vanilla
a hamburger
Ice,
Pokemon?
right? We'll just make a McDonald's variant of Vanilla Ice that's a McFlurry. It'll be the only time you can actually get one since the machine's always down.
Yeah, really.
You just turn oh, you know what'd be a perfect Pokemon? Mayor McCheese. Bring him back.
I think the Hamburger could be a Pokemon.
No, just have him dressed up as Team Rocket.
There you go.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of Mr. Mime a bit.
Yeah, a little. Or we just dress up a Mr. Mime as a Hamburglar. You can do it either way.
They could call one McNuggy.
The Fry Trees are already basically Pokemon. I guess Grimace is kind of borderline.
Yeah.
Purple earless Snorlax.
We just have the Fry Trees evolve into Grimace. That'll be the evolutionary line there.
There you go. Yeah, Grimace is kind of like Snorlax.
Yeah. People are apparently waking up at 5 a.m. to get these Happy Meals, too.
Like, why? Is that when they... Like, because that's when they open, or...
Yeah. Or that's when they did the change out from last month or quarter. I don't know when they do it, but at 5 a.m. they changed which toy they were selling. Because...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At the 24-hour McDonald's, that's when they change over. A lot of them, you don't actually get to order a Happy Meal until after breakfast is done. But at the ones that operate for 24 hours, they have like a set time when they switch over.
Well, maybe I should do that, because I've been waking up at 4 a.m. every day for some reason. So.
And these scalpers, even though the Happy Meal only runs about $3, some of these boxes of cards have sold between $600 and $1,000 on eBay.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Who would buy that?
Desperate people.
Does it come with the fries and the burger?
I don't know if eBay would let you do that. Can you sell open spoils on eBay?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why isn't there a fast food mascot Mugen called Food Fight? I don't know. I think I've seen some people making something like that, or at least the fighter select screens, but I've never seen a fully functional one where it's just like all of the mascots in Mugen fighting each other.
Timothy, that's what I just asked. Do they sell the meal with it too? GMT says people are paying thousands of dollars for short basketball videos. What is that? What is a short basketball video? Is that a video of a short basketball?
Yeah, I think it's people recording basketball from like their seats in the stadium and then selling it to people.
Oh, to get the feeling of being in the seat live.
I think so.
That's honestly retarded. That's really retarded. I think that's even dumber than the Pokemon stuff.
I don't know if it was a short video of basketball or a video of short basketballs.
In fact, I think somebody should ruin this market by just going there, recording stuff from their seat, and putting it on YouTube for free.
Yeah, like, I mean, why would you pay for that? What would the ad say? Pokemon Happy Meals with food. Warning, I have touched all the food. I've placed the coof on the food.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that now. Would there be even more restrictions and stuff like that with COVID and all that?
Yeah, you'd think they would have shut eBay down, you know? It's like you realize people are probably spreading it through that.
Well, I don't think they have the authority to shut eBay down.
Well,
Which I would be glad if that was the case, because they shouldn't have the authority to shut eBay down.
Yeah, but...
I wonder if anybody's paid hundreds of dollars yet for cards that are completely soaked in grease.
That'd be funny. My brother, actually, he had a Japanese pack, because he opens those every so often, and he pulled a card that's not even officially out yet.
How much does he want for it?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to ask him. He told me how much it was worth. I'm trying to remember what it was. Let me see if I can find it. Where's the message?
Is it still not out?
What, the card that he pulled? Yeah, because he just pulled it like yesterday or whatever.
Oh, wow. How is it not out?
It's out in Japan only.
Oh.
So it's not available in literally any other state. Unless you have imported Japanese packs and happen to pull it. And it's such a rare card that even in Japan, most people don't have it. So he got lucky with that.
Wow.
I have to go to his
Another
Facebook
news.
profile to see it.
There's apparently going to be a Sonic series on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I saw the news about that.
Yeah, called Sonic
Actually,
Prime.
didn't we talk about that on the Vomitorium before?
Yeah, we did.
I guess that news is a
Marsupial,
week old.
you were on that episode.
I don't remember. I don't remember any conversations I ever had. I'm on every episode. Of course I was.
Well, it just depends on how early back we talked about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the news is only from 9 days ago, so.
Well, I think we talked about it 2 months ago.
Oh, really?
When they first
so I
announced
guess
it.
it's like maybe that article is just either the article is slow or maybe it has new information we didn't have last time.
Probably has new information, because last time there was no timeline or anything. It was just announced that it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That it was going to be in 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
Yeah, the character's name is Shifu. Probably hard to see, but yeah. Not available in the States at all.
So is he selling it?
Maybe. It's probably worth a lot of money. I can't find the value. I think he just told me it in person. I'd have to ask him what it's worth.
Yeah, I think he mentioned that earlier after we were done with the hike.
Either that or on the hike. It is sometime while we were out.
Hmm.
See. Need to main Ronald and get his "Do you want fries with that?" to combo into "Smiles are free." Then drop a 3-bar super called Ronald's House. See, if you could actually make a game where Ronald McDonald was a playable fighter, it would probably be one of the most popular fighting games to ever be in Japan. Because I don't think people realize just how beloved Ronald McDonald is in Japan. There's an entire otomad genre, like subgenre, of just Ronald McDonald video edits to music.
Hmm.
Some of them are pretty good.
GMT just brought up some more breaking news. Larry Flint has died of heart failure.
Heart failure.
Apparently. Hasn't he been in a wheelchair for like decades?
I mean, you never hear of anybody dying from heart success.
Really? Oh, I guess he got shot in 1978.
Are these cards all from Sword and Shield? I think so. Well, maybe not all of them, because obviously they're going to have a Pikachu. There's always a Pikachu available anytime they do something with McDonald's.
Of course.
Yeah. But I think most of the other stuff is new. Maybe there's a mix of things, because it's supposed to be celebrating the anniversary. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Charizard in there somewhere. Everybody wants a Charizard.
Yes. I just want a Litten. I like Litten.
Yeah, it's cool. I like Incineroar.
Is Larry Flint the father of Brianna Wu, or is that just a rumor?
I hope for his sake that's just a rumor. I don't think anybody would want to have the legacy of Brianna Wu behind them. Gamergate will always be a boogeyman.
Hard and enjoying it. Well, oh, because her name is John Walker Flint. Yeah, I think they're unrelated. I think Larry Flint and John Flint are not related.
Flint is not an uncommon last name.
Yeah. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say I doubt it.
Yeah. So I don't know why anybody still has hope for Stadia. At all.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that thing was pretty much dead on arrival.
I thought that it was announced that it was closing up.
Maybe.
Did they not announce that?
We get even more confirmation on that because it wasn't announced officially. I think it came from a dev that it was closing up. But now even Andrew Spinks, the co-creator of Terraria, says that the Stadia version is canceled after he lost access to his Google accounts. And this doesn't seem to be an uncommon occurrence. A lot of creators putting things on Stadia are losing access to their Google accounts or to be able to manage the Stadia-related projects. And at least Terraria officially is dead on Stadia. It's not going to happen. And I think everything about it is just dead. I don't know why anyone thought this was a good idea in the first place.
On February 1st, Phil Harrison, Stadia's vice president and GM, announced in a blog post that Google will stop making video games for Stadia. The company's shutting down Stadia Games and Entertainment.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
I wasn't sure if it came from them, because when I originally heard about it, it was like Ubisoft or somebody was relaying the information.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I gotta get out of here. I'll see you later.
Okay, man.
All right, see you later.
Yeah.
So I guess, okay, so they're just not making games for it. I mean, I guess it's still going to be around.
Yeah, the service still technically exists. Other people could be making games. Google isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, I think it's dead. Like, I thought it was a dumb idea from the very start. Like, who wants to have stream-only games? You can't even download it onto the device.
Yeah.
Half the time you went through all that work just for the things not to work anyway.
And then, if you lost access to your Google account, you lose access to all of your games.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Which
I mean,
is a similar problem with Steam.
yeah. I mean, I guess
But
the main
if
issue,
you have a game downloaded, right, you still have it.
Mm-hmm. Tears of all those obnoxious Stadia stands sustains me, says Flit. So, to me, I feel like we'd have to have a whole new internet for it to work. Because, I mean, you just can't get consistently good internet.
Yeah.
Good enough. Stream, games like that.
I mean, even if everybody was on, like, a 1 gig fiber line, I still don't think that was a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough to, like, people are, a lot of people are reluctant to buy digital games where they've actually got it downloaded to their system, like you said. So, who's going to essentially pay for the Netflix of video games, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I don't give a shit about. Yeah, I don't give a shit about owning movies anymore. I used to, but I'm over it. I don't care. I'll stream whatever, especially since if I can't find it on any of the sites that I pay for, I can find it elsewhere. But yeah, video games I at least want to own, even if it's digital. I want it to be downloaded to my computer.
Well, I think I'm mostly the same way, and part of it is the shift of entertainment. Video games are my primary form of entertainment, so I actually give a shit about them. Like, I get entertained by shows and movies to some degree, but I'm in the next phase of society. I'm kind of past the whole film media phase. Like, I would not be affected if movies and TV just stopped being made altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't care about that either.
Yeah, anyone who's ever played online on dial-up knows how bad it can be. Oh! Think about, like, Warcraft 2. And playing a game, and then my mom decides she wants to hop on the phone. Just done.
Game Pass is the Netflix of video games. Well, isn't Stadia as well?
Yeah, but Game Pass... Don't you have temporary files at least on your device?
Yeah, you download temporary files.
Yeah. So when your Game Pass runs out, they could just delete them, but you still have a version on there. You don't have to be you have to be on the internet to check in that you have Game Pass, but after that, you still have the files on your device. So that's way better than Stadia. Like that's a whole step up. from where Stadia's at. Stadia's like a constantly rotating cache, right? Game Pass on PC and Xbox, you download the full game. Okay. But as far as I know, with Stadia, it's like it's trying to be like streaming a movie or anything like that, where you just have a constantly cycling cache, like a stream coming in and out.
Mm-hmm. Game Pass is on PC and Xbox. You download the full game.
Yeah.
So how is Game Pass and Netflix of video games? It doesn't seem like it.
Like, it's better, though. You download the full game, yeah. Because you just pay for Game Pass and you have access to all the games on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's my interpretation of it. I could be wrong. But I think it's just a service that you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked into Game Pass. I mean, it sounds okay. My only problem is, at least from what they've shown, Game Pass is separated between PC and Xbox. So it's like there's all the options for Xbox and then some of the options for PC. Right? And since I don't give a shit about the Xbox console at all, the limited options for PC just didn't seem appetizing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe Bullet could correct that if he's still in the chat. I don't think he left. You just have to wait for it to catch up.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know. The only thing that I pay for that is even remotely similar to Game Pass is the Nintendo Online.
Yeah.
Which gives you a lot, which is a lot cheaper and gives you a lot more features than just the games.
Well, I like Nintendo Online because at no point would I ever pay for it for the NES and SNES apps. I'm paying for it because I want to play online with other people, which these other systems force you to pay as well. So that's why PC's better.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm already paying for online and they give me all this extra shit, I'm not going to complain about it.
Right.
Bullet is too busy playing Tell Me Why. I'm actually not familiar with Tell Me Why. I don't know what that is.
Sounds like a Jackbox game kind of thing.
I don't know. If it's fun, let me know though. Don't be holding out on me.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
But you know what Stadia
It's an
reminds me of?
episodic game by Don't Nod Entertainment.
Okay. But Stadia, and I've been saying this for a while too, is kind of like the spiritual successor to the Ouya. Not in function, but in the practice of what happened to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pay a monthly fee and have hundreds of games. Okay, that's basically what I thought it was. Though, I guess in many ways the Ouya is still better than Stadia, because you could mod the Ouya and put stuff on it. Because it was basically a small Raspberry Pi machine.
Right, exactly. In fact, I had an Ouya for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to it. Got lost in a move, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a neat little device, but anybody who expected it to go anywhere was living in a pipe dream.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they had a bunch of games on there that were just basically also already on Android.
Yeah, or
So, I mean, it
Steam, or some of them were in arcades and stuff like Towerfall was a big game on Ouya. But I also played Towerfall at an arcade near here, which was cool. But then you could also play it on Steam, so there was no point in needing an Ouya.
Yeah, exactly. You could download it to your iPhone.
Yeah.
Or Android.
Tim, what I meant by Jackbox is that Jackbox games are kind of a group of trivia / party games that you can stream online. Like only one person needs to own the game,
They're
and
built
you
to be
can go
streamed.
to Jackbox TV to join games that your friends are streaming.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a Jackbox night on the Vomitorium sometime if we want to pre-plan it. I have the original Quiplash, but they're not expensive. I could easily just pick up one of the other Jackbox party packs, and we could do it. It'd be a fun thing to do with the the community of people around here.
Mm-hmm.
You ever play a Jackbox
Actually,
game?
I actually had those on CDs. I had You Don't Know Jack, several different versions on CDs.
Yeah. Couple of them I like. Like, I like the whole Quiplash line. The only problem is, if you're a bigger streamer with a bigger audience, it becomes kind of fun because you can rotate some people in there. But if you play with the same audience too often, or mostly if your audience isn't that creative, or not the audience, the players, if your players aren't that creative, if you have like a really competitive, dynamic set of people, you could probably get a bunch of results that are different every time. You start to like fall into in-jokes, and it becomes like really boring fast to play with the same group of people over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my problem with playing games like Cards Against Humanity. It's fun to play with a group of people you've never played it with before. But after you play with somebody a few times, you start to know, regardless of the topic, I know I can play this card and this person's going to pick it because this person always picks this card. And you start, like, metagaming that game based on the group you're playing with.
Yeah.
Which we could also have a Cards Against Humanity night, since I think Buck is the only person I've ever played that game with in this group. We invite a bunch of people on. They don't even have to be on call. Like, there could be people who watch that we know from our various circles. They could just hop in and play silently, and you and I could just read out the answers.
Is You Don't Know Jack still a thing?
I don't know. I know what you're talking about. I'm aware of You Don't Know Jack, but I don't know if it's still a thing.
Oh yeah, well, it is on Steam. I don't even remember
Wolf says the
how.
design for the Coleco Amico and the new Earthworm Jim game. You know, I wasn't initially hyped, even like after Earthworm Jim was announced. But then when I realized that the guy in charge of this company is Tommy Tallarico, I'm like, okay, I kind of have a little faith in that guy. In television, yeah, not Coleco. In television, Amico. Because Tommy Tallarico is like the CEO of Intellivision or something like that. You're like, yeah, I kind of have a little bit of faith in this guy. He's done some pretty good things in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently at Jackbox Games you can buy the You Don't Know Jack Classic Bundle of all 6 of the original volumes for $20.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at the. They've got a bundle of 9 for $20 on Steam. Interestingly.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I'd enjoy that game again if I'm playing it with a group of people I haven't played it with before.
No, that is all 9. I thought it was 6 because when I did the little like scroll button, the last one that pops up is volume 6. So I just thought it was only 6 of them.
Yeah.
You keep thinking Coleco because it rhymes. Well, I mean, there was the ColecoVision.
So is that actually happening? The in television
Television Amico? Apparently. They've been hyping it for a while.
yeah.
And Earthworm Jim's going to be an exclusive for it.
Mm-hmm. See, I was wondering because it was initially set to launch on October 10th, 2020. And now it's been delayed until April 15th.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me with COVID and stuff. A lot of things have been delayed.
Yeah. You can pre-order it with wood grain. Oh my.
Man, is that an old design for a console having wood grain in it?
Oh my gosh. So, does it hook up to a TV?
I don't know.
It looks like it's got like 2 iPods for controllers. This is the weirdest thing.
I'm hoping there's an HDMI port. I hope they don't think that you're going to have to plug like an auxiliary cable into the back to be able to play this thing.
Yeah, I hope so.
You get a new Earthworm Jim game and it's good, that'll be worth it. Yeah, I agree, because I've been waiting for a new Earthworm Jim game. I hope it is better than the preview that was shown. Because while it looked better than Battletoads, the preview looked like a cheap Flash game.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I think Earthworm Jim could get by, like it would pass with a cheap Flash-looking animation more than a game like Battletoads would, but I don't know, I think the original sprites look better than what they showed.
Yeah.
To be fair, Earthworm Jim actually had some high-quality sprites. You go back and look at them.
Yeah.
Every time I think of
Intellivision
ColecoVision, I think of the show Code Monkeys, which I really hope that show somehow miraculously makes a comeback when G4 starts doing things again, because Code Monkeys was the best. And
yeah.
it was because they were, I don't think they called it Coleco, I think they changed it to Galico with a G, but basically the rival company across like the street from them, the other like development company, was ColecoVision.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like whipping people in their cubicles and stuff. There was like a shirtless guy with an executioner hood just sitting there whipping people to make sure they'd go back to work. The drones, while the company over there where Code Monkeys were just like partying and doing stupid stuff and being yelled at by Mr. Larity.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was the Woz. Steve Wozniak was apparently the founder of the company, and he like sold it to a cowboy oil tycoon. Right in the first episode.
He was the founder of what company?
Of the fictional Code Monkeys company in the cartoon.
Oh.
Yeah. So, like, that's why
right.
everybody was all kind of over the place, doing their own thing, very loose. Because it's like, Woz was a chill guy. But then he sells the company to go do something else. To an oil tycoon. And he starts cracking down on everybody. Because he's like, I really don't care what you do. I just care that you make me rich. Have you ever seen Code Monkeys?
Yeah. It's been a while.
I love Code Monkeys. It's such a good show.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. GMT has 14 of the Jack games.
Wow.
Interesting.
I literally only own Quiplash 1.
And Bullet has a bundle too.
Oh, yeah, but that's on the Epic Games Store. Which, I mean, it's good if you wanted to be the one to run it. I'm never going on the Epic Games Store.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. I completely forgot about this show.
Dude, Code Monkeys
yes,
is great.
Yeah,
I kind of,
totally
I
great.
always wanted to find somebody who wanted to do the other side of the cosplay, and I wanted to go as like, was it Dave and Jerry to a convention?
Yeah.
And
No, I
the
have to
best
go back.
episode of the whole show is what is it? It's either called Todd Loses His Mind or Todd Goes Crazy. I can't remember the name of it, but he kind of like snaps under the pressure of trying to build a game,
Mhm.
and he starts like growing out a beard, and he runs out of the office after nearly running over one of his coworkers naked, and goes on a quest to like become more powerful, to seek revenge or whatever. And he wants to like get power or advice from Gary Gygax. I can't remember exactly what he was trying to get, but
Yeah.
he needed to like bring him an offering. And part of the offering is he needs a fair red-haired maiden. So he goes and kidnaps Molly Ringwald while she's in the Breakfast Club.
Oh, okay.
And there's this one scene that just sticks out with me because it's just so out of left field, but everything was out of left field in that show. And as like he's pulling up in the background, you can kind of see him in the parking lot through the window. They're in the library, and I can't remember the names of any of the characters in the Breakfast Club, but the punk, the tough guy, right?
Yeah.
He was like, "Dad, bring me a hot pocket. Bring me a chicken hot pocket. Does this look like a chicken hot pocket? No. Bang!" And it's just like this random ass thing, like right there, and it's like ingrained in my memory. Does this look like a chicken hot pocket? And then he runs in and kidnaps Molly Ringwald and brings her to Gary Gygax, who's living inside a giant D20 where one of the sides folds down so you can get in.
Yeah. And I definitely don't remember that much detail.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that show. That's good. I remember that one specifically too because I was thinking of that episode like a couple years ago, and I just went and watched only that episode.
Mhm.
But I do remember like all the main characters because there was Black Steve, who was like the only black guy in the office,
Mhm.
and everything about him was like stereotypical and racist and stuff. Like if they needed a drug connection, he was the guy that knew it. He had like
Yep.
a gun on him at all times. There was also God, what was the character's name? I think it was like Kimmy. It was a boy, and he was the game tester. It was like Jimmy or something. But they had to get him like cigarettes and shit to get him to give good reviews on their games to the boss. And he was like this little like
Gamergate.
12-year-old Korean boy.
No, I'm gonna have to talk. By the way, not to change the subject or anything, but John released images of these cards that he's making of like the Buckler and Miss Maple. I don't know about the stats that he put on here.
I don't know the stats either. I'd have to go and check it. I know the picture for Miss Maple actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Rick and I were watching him finish it off last night.
But okay, Miss Maple is 5'6", 106 pounds. She'd be anorexic.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is great. She needs to be like 120, 125. It's more realistic. Plus,
Yeah,
he
'cause
gave.
that was like-
he might have-
That was how light I was back in high school, as I was just reaching 5'6".
Yeah,
Before
that
like
is
everything
way-
caught up.
And you'd lose him if he turned sideways.
Yeah. But now I'm closer to like 130. And I'm
I'm not sure that the power level. I mean, he gave her more power than the Buckler. Shouldn't he be maximum power?
Well, it's power, not strength, though, right? Like, She controls the wind. There might be a lot of potential power in there.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It
I mean,
may
at
be a
one
work in
point, she
progress.
does blow a gust so powerful it moves everybody off the pier,
Yeah.
like to the sides.
Yeah, power might just mean like the scale of how powerful she is overall rather than like physical capability.
While, like,
Mhm.
all the Buckler's power is physical strength, and before his Berserker mode, he's only as strong as 3 men. Now,
Yeah.
I know his, like, Berserker thing makes him a lot stronger, but the wind is potentially really powerful. I mean, what if she can make a tornado, for all you know, right?
Yeah. Well, you should have like they're like 5 dots, right? So you should fill in like either 2 or 3 of them, and then like the other ones have like stripes and like a little asterisk to say, Berserker mode only or
Yeah,
something.
that could work. 3 men or 2/3 of
Unless
the
he
time
makes
using-
the Berserker mode Buckler a completely different card.
Hmm. Maybe 2/3 of a tiger.
He says Buckler is only as strong as 3 men. Are you complaining about the fact that I said only there? I mean, that would be really impressive compared to real life, but involving, like, superheroes and stuff, that's not that impressive. Though
Usually, even decently strong people in comics are described as having the strength of 10 men.
Yeah, I think that is impressive for the Buckler's world, though. Just because, aside from the Canadian Shield, who is still a nerfed version of the Canadian Shield that shows up, I hear that everybody else is just like a low-tier hero when it comes to powers and stuff. It's more of like their fame and everything that really gets them to where they are. He's got like corporate heroes. But I mean, 3 men,
Mr. Chuck
that's not that
Green.
strong. That's like...
Not
A
in comic
gorilla's still
books.
stronger than that, I think. Which, I mean, he has to be stronger than 3 men. He kills a bear with his bare hands.
It's unclear
This
as
is
to how you measure. In what way is he as strong as 3 men?
Yeah, that's kind of weird too. It's like, is it lifting strength? It's like how many 3 fairly athletic men could lift if they all work together?
Mm-hmm.
Is it literally lifting 3 men?
Is it actually the power of 3 men, or is it 3 times the power of 1 man?
I don't know. He just says the power of 3 men. He's as strong as 3 men. And because striking strength is different though, because to strike harder, it's your mass plus velocity, and then obviously surface area. But typically the mass matters more than the surface area on that, which is why bigger people tend to hit harder than smaller people. But like his mass only gets so big, so you'd have to be swinging faster to increase his striking power.
Yeah. GMPS, how old was Miss Maple when she learned she had the power to control wind?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Kat. It's her character.
But John placed her age at 25, her current age at 25.
Yeah, I think from what I know, it was probably fairly recently that she started using her power, or at least started using it from a heroic standpoint, because she doesn't seem to be able to do much with it. Which means there might be more potential there than actual practice.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what Kat's going to say about the fact that she's supposedly 106 pounds. Yeah.
That's like Rick Piper tier of getting people's weight wrong. So like the Canadian Shield. You know how big that guy is supposed to be, right? It's like supposed to be a Hulk. He's 8 foot tall. and he's got like the body mass of all the Hulk at that size.
Yeah.
And he originally had him. What was it? I think it was like 280 pounds or something like that. I'm like, Rick, this guy cannot be any less than 600 pounds, and I'm saying he's probably even closer to 800.
Well, John has the Buckler at 6'6", 310 pounds, and that sounds about right.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Just knowing, like, weights of fighters and stuff around that size and bodybuilders, I could totally see the Buckler with his build being 310 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, he's pure muscle, so that's going to be pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Miss Maple should be in the 125 to 135 range, maybe.
I'm thinking, yeah. She should probably
Maybe
be roughly about the same weight that I am now. Somewhere in that range.
Oh, yeah. Because presumably she's muscular too, right?
Yeah. Maybe a little more because, I don't know if you've looked at her chest. She's got a little bit of fat sitting there, so that's going to give some weight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say 135. Five foot 6.
Yeah. Rick should advertise the Shield's height and weight on Twitter. I'm sure somebody would want to have him step on them. I don't know about that. Maybe. Is that... Do women have the same fetish? I don't know. I think... Is that mostly like a guy fetish? I know there are women who like being dominated, so maybe. I just don't know about the
I don't
stepping
know about being
part.
stepped on.
Yeah.
Maybe they just say dominate me or something.
Yeah, maybe they want to be choked. The gigantic hand. I think he would just like crush your neck in one slight grip.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get both hands around it because his hands are just too big to actually fit around somebody's neck.
Mm-hmm. He could probably get his around there.
Oh, you know what? He would have to be polite and fancy about it. He'd have to leave his pinky out as he chokes you.
That's right.
Yeah, maybe some men would like being stepped on by a large man too. I did not consider that. You've got a point.
There you go.
Yep. No, I'm thinking most of them would probably have liked my version of the Canadian Shield stepping on them more anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because mine was a lady who was pretty tall. I think I left her a lot shorter, though. I think she's closer to, like, 7 foot. Because I figure it's like, okay, well, if he's, like, 8 foot as a man and women tend to be shorter, I'm going to scale her down a little bit.
Is GMT a femdom, do you think?
I don't know.
Do you like
Could she be
stepping
programmed
on
that way?
GMT? What's that?
Maybe she could be programmed that way.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a thing I don't understand because it's not something that applies to me. And I know a little bit of the psychology behind it, but it doesn't matter how much of, like, from an academic viewpoint I understand it, I just don't get it.
Yeah. No, I understand it.
Yeah. No, wrestlers are a really good starting place for height and weight of certain superheroes.
Yeah.
The same place I brought up, like, I usually look at fighters and bodybuilders as well. Wrestlers are a good point. Anybody who has those physiques. Usually for mine, because I tend to have people doing unrealistic things, but I have them having more of a realistic athletic body shape. Most people aren't, like, in the bodybuilding physique. It's more like lean muscle and stuff. I tend to lean more towards fighters, like UFC and everything. Because some of them are pretty jacked, but they're not going to be as, like, bulky as a wrestler's going to be.
Yeah. Well, here, I just looked up. Gina Carano is 5'8", 143 pounds.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey is 5'7", 134 pounds.
Yeah. Big Show was 7. I think he's like 7 even, maybe 7'1", and he was 500 pounds.
I actually think Big Show wasn't quite at 7 foot.
You think he was exaggerating to hit 7?
Yeah, because I remember that when the Great Khali showed up, he was supposed to be like 7 foot even, and that was like a big deal. And he was like visibly taller than Big Show was.
Okay, because I know a lot of his bio, like his stats, would say he was 7, but that might have just been the marketing.
Yeah, I think he was like a couple inches off of hitting 7. Like he was very close, but not quite there. And then when the Great Khali came up, they really stopped talking about the Big Show's height because, when another guy who shows up who's exactly 7 foot and he's noticeably taller than you, you can't keep saying you're 7 foot anymore.
Yeah. Well, another good example I used with Rick to try to explain to him, like, the height weight thing is I wanted to find somebody who's more muscle mass than fat, even though like the strong men tend to have a good amount of fat on them. They're not purely bodybuilder bulk muscle, and they need that level of shock insulation. But I went with Halfthor. What's it? Beardson, and he's like 6'9", and I think at his peak was like 435 pounds. So he's not quite that tall, but it was a good way of scaling up. Is like, if this guy is 435 pounds, and he's only 6'9", there is no way your 8 foot tall, even bulkier guy could be less weight than him. So he rounded up to 600. I still think that's a little too light, but it's better than what he had before. No, I mean, if we're going really realistic, the Canadian Shield would not be able to support his own body mass prior to getting that suit. People who get that tall either live very short lives or they start to lose a lot of that weight and tend to be more skinny tall.
Mm-hmm.
I think the tallest guy to ever live was like 7'11" or something like that, and he's he's dead, but he was like a beanpole.
Yeah, I feel like with his height and build, he'd be closer to the weight of a bear.
Mm-hmm. Did the suit make him bulk up?
No. I was just saying, like, if he had the suit early in his life, due to the power of the suit, it would be able to support his weight more, but no, he was already that bulky before he had the suit.
Foot says, I just want to know how much the Canadian Shield spends on groceries every week.
You know, I've inquired the same thing, because he'd have to eat a lot to maintain his mass.
You'd have to eat a bear.
Yeah.
Like what most people have for Thanksgiving dinner for a family by himself every day.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, it's like, he probably just eats the whole elk. Right? He just kills the moose, eats the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
In fact, my headcanon is that at some point in time in the past, there was another species that got, of like large mammal, that got driven to extinction because of how much food the Canadian Shield needed to eat.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Let me look at my notes.
so I see there is a trailer and a demo of Bravely Default 2.
Yeah, I think the last one before this was said to be the final demo, but then they came out with another one. Why, I don't know, but
Are they
I'm
doing?
interested
Is
in
it
it. I don't know if
similar?
it's a demo.
Is it similar to the like isn't the Octopath demo? Doesn't it let you play like the whole first chapter?
I don't remember what the demo was for Octopath.
Or am I thinking of the Bravely Default?
Well, the last
one?
Bravely Default demo, the one that came out like a month or so ago, was it let you play the whole first chapter, but you had a time limit. You could only play for, I think it was 5 hours. Right?
Oh, okay.
And you had to get done as much as you could within the 5 hours. And after it hit that time, it reset. Like, it deleted the file and you could start over again. So none of your save data could carry over, even if you finished everything within the 5 hours. Which I'm like, okay, well, I don't give a shit about this demo then, because I don't want to have to replay the whole first chapter again when I get the game.
Yeah. So they done something different. Let's see. Okay, so the demo for Bravely Default 2 does not start you at the beginning.
Okay.
It says it takes place partway through the story.
The Bravely Default 1 demo was kind of like that. You had to play a part that you would end up playing later in the story, but with like slight differences to it, as to not spoil the events. When you got to that town, this town with this big like gear mechanism and stuff in the middle of the desert, and you could get up to level 20 with everything. You could raise certain jobs. Nothing carried over, except for this little village that you were building up. Right? You could, the rewards and some of the items that you got in the demo did carry over to the main game, so there was incentive to play the demo.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it comes out on February 26th, so
I am interested in getting that game. I like the first one. I still have not beaten the first one. My characters are like level 70, and I am only 1/5 through that game. I just never bothered to beat it.
Bravely Default 1?
Yeah.
How are you doing? Did you ever beat Octopath?
No, I'm gonna get back to it.
Okay.
I just haven't streamed again. I was too busy making stuff. Like, most of the time that I could have been streaming Octopath, I was making assets for, like, the upcoming sessions of the RPG.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Like, I didn't have anywhere near as many assets prepared as I thought I would need, because when I was originally making that RPG, I was making it to play around a table where we had a dry erase board and I could just draw everything real quick that I needed for like map layouts and stuff like that.
Right.
So like I actually had to make different like cities and everything, and a lot of work. See, GMT says Robert Wadlow, who is 8'11". That might be the guy I was talking about. I might have been a foot off. I thought he was like 7'11". I remembered the 11 part. 8'11", weighed 439 pounds, and died at 22 and looked really thin. Yeah, and he had to have like braces on his legs and walk with a cane. I remember this guy. He's the tallest man to ever live. And he did weigh a lot, because, I mean, 439 sounds like a lot, but the dude was basically just like a flagpole standing there. There's like, I think you can find black and white images of the dude. But no, after I finish Octopath, which I need to do, I might restart the original Bravely Default, because I should be able to run it no problem with Citra, and I'll probably stream that. And this time I won't bother grinding endlessly to 70 thinking I'm at the end of the game when I've got 4 more rotations in the same history to go through. The game makes it so easy to grind as well, right? Like, when you're going somewhere, you could just turn random encounters off altogether.
Yeah.
And then when you want to grind, you could turn on, like, 4 times the random encounter rate. So every time you take a step, you're in a battle. And then you can increase the speed of the battle, like, 8 times. And you just pile through everything really fast.
Yeah.
And then once you're at 70, which it shouldn't take me any time to finish the game, I just have to get through bosses. At this point, being level 70, I could just turn off random encounters and go from boss to boss to boss to boss. But I've lost, like, because there's so many other games that are to play now, and it was such in the past, I've lost all motivation to get through the game. Like, I'm better off just restarting and playing on stream, and that would actually motivate me to finish it.
Yeah, I actually have Bravely Default on Citra as well. But I haven't really gotten into it. I think I've played it for 5 minutes so far.
It's fun. It's more like a Final Fantasy game than Final Fantasy has been.
Yeah, really.
I think I've probably said it on the podcast several times, probably to you directly. I find it to be more like a Final Fantasy VII than Final Fantasy VII, because up until 7 came out, all of the Final Fantasy games were on Nintendo, and Bravely Default's a Nintendo game, but that has literally nothing to do with it, because I have no problem with Final Fantasy being on PlayStation. But up until that point, 1, 3, and 5, all the odd number Final Fantasies, had to do with crystals and jobs. The first one, the jobs were permanent. You could only pick your party once. But then in the third and fifth one, you could change your jobs throughout and get, like, level them up and get different skills and things like that. And Bravely Default has to do with crystals and jobs, and works like an enhanced version of Final Fantasy V.
Yeah.
It's like, where was this game? Why was this not 7? Why was 7 not 8? What is going on here?
I don't know.
And it's, the same art style. Obviously, you know, because you said you've started it. But it's the same art style as the DS versions of both 3 and 4 that you just finished and started playing.
Oh, yeah. But it's actually better, though, right? I mean...
Yeah, it's scaled up better. The models are fleshed out more, but it's the same proportions. It's not nearly as pixely, even though it still kind of is because it's a 3DS game.
Mm-hmm.
But you can actually... It's not just like the faces are pixelated onto a round model. You can actually tell that they have noses and stuff. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that would be...
Mr. Squeaker says it sounds like a mess. Final Fantasy is a mess. Okay? And Bravely Default isn't any less than a mess, because the naming function for Bravely Default actually works the same way as Final Fantasy. It's kind of a spiritual successor to how Final Fantasy used to be. Because there's Bravely Default, which... What was the name of the first one? It's, something to do with Fairy. I can't remember. But then there's Bravely Second, which is the sequel to Bravely Default. And then there's Bravely Default 2, which is not a sequel to Bravely Default. It's another game in the series, much like how Final Fantasy 2 is not a sequel to the original Final Fantasy.
Yeah. So it's a completely different story.
Yeah, but I think they're not pulling the multiple worlds thing with this, maybe? Maybe timelines, but I don't think multiple worlds, because it seemed like there was a reference to Agnes in the trailer to Bravely Default 2. And Agnes is one, like, of the 4 characters, probably the main character of the game. You don't start with her. She's not the person whose village was destroyed, but she's kind of the most important person. It's kind of like you start with Tidus, but Yuna is by far a more important character than Tidus is in Final Fantasy X. And that's Agnes. She's like a priest that you're escorting from crystal to crystal so that she can purify it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
know nothing about the story.
But
But
because of that, what were you saying?
No, go ahead. Finish
Oh,
your
I was
thought.
saying because of that, I think I saw a reference to Agnes in the trailer for Bravely Default 2, and I'm thinking it might be closer to, I don't know, we talked about the Dragon Quest timeline recently, but maybe even closer to Zelda or whatever, where it could all be the same world, but they're just so drastically far apart that they're not direct sequels to each other.
Right. Far apart in time, right?
Yeah. Temporally distant.
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, you were talking about the job system, and the one thing that I find, I don't know, annoying, I guess, about the Final Fantasy III job system is that there's not really a compelling reason to try out all the jobs. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but the problem is you start out at level 1 with any new job.
I think you actually start at level 0.
No, I think, well, at least in the version I was playing, they're all 1. You start at 1. And there's not really a compelling reason to try them. The nice thing, I mean, it could be considered nice to me. The nice thing about Final Fantasy IV, which I'm just starting, is that
You're playing
all the
characters and it takes
characters,
it all care for you.
yeah, well, all the characters have a set job,
Yeah.
right? And you're kind of forced to have characters come in and out of your party, so you get to try all the jobs as you go through.
Yeah, and it's a set story, right? So you're not even picking the characters in your party unless you're playing the PlayStation version or Final Fantasy for Advance, which is kind of like an updated version of the PlayStation, where it has a bonus dungeon on the moon. I don't believe the DS version has that bonus dungeon. I don't believe it has it. Not that it matters, because you're just playing to the final boss and the end of the credits anyway. But in the advanced version, I know for a fact, you actually get Param and Poram back.
Mm-hmm.
And you can switch them out, and you actually get everybody back for the most part. Everyone except for Tella, because, you know, he's dead. He wasn't just turned to stone.
Oh, I see. I'm looking in the guidebook, and I don't. Do you remember the name of this bonus dungeon?
Oh, it was like Lunar or something. I'm trying to remember the name of it. There's some big tower on the moon. Like I said, I don't believe it's in the DS version because I don't remember it being in it. I think it's only in the updated version of like the PlayStation and Game Boy Advance one.
Hey, there's a Crystal Palace in this game too. Wasn't that?
A lot of
Wasn't
stuff. There's
that?
an underworld in that game where the dwarves live. Like there's a whole continent under the surface of a planet, surrounded by magma.
Yeah, I remember because you go in and there's like this whole battle scene with tanks.
Yeah,
Airship.
and there's Giot, the great king of the dwarves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait to get into it. This is the first one since 1 that I've already beaten before.
Yeah.
So 2 and 3, I had never gotten very far at all in either of those.
It
Well,
usually 4 is the one I actually recommend most people play. Not just because it's my favorite due to the storyline, but 6, while I think it's the best Final Fantasy, if you're not that into RPGs, can be a little overwhelming. Because there's a lot going on in 6. It gives you a lot, but you also kind of have to determine the paths at which your characters level up, because whatever Magicite you have equipped to them while they're leveling will affect their stats.
Mm-hmm.
And people like I've heard people flustered like I don't know which one I need to equip to which character. I can't decide. And 4, all the characters have set paths. That's it. They're the class. I mean 6, everybody's their own class, but You don't affect their stats anyway. Their stats go up every single level consistently. All you have to do is figure out what weapons to give them and play through a story.
Yeah, it's a lot more straightforward. I kind of like that better, too. I mean, 6 is still my favorite, but I do like 4 being a bit more straightforward.
Yeah.
As far as character advancement.
Well, it's
I
also
tell you, 3...
straightforward in plot advancement, too. It is almost impossible to get lost in 4. Like, there's always somebody telling you where to go. After you're done with something, you can wander off and grind, but you pretty much only have the one next generation, destination to go. And that's it, right? And because of that, it's like, it's the one that when I've told people to play it, they are most likely to actually play through to the end.
Yeah. And I've never played this version, the DS version, but I played the original on the SNES, which I have over here. And I considered playing that version, but
Yeah.
I've already played it. I've already beaten it, so I figured I'd.
Well, you wanted a version that told you what was the better equipment if a character could equip it in the shot.
Yeah, that one feature is a major headache for me.
Don't think the PSX version has it, PS1. I know the Game Boy Advance one does, and I think the one you're playing has that feature too, but I don't think any version before that does.
Yeah, absolutely does. This version, yeah. I was actually really surprised that it wasn't in there, and that because I started playing it just for fun, and it surprised me at how primitive it still was compared to 6, even.
Part of it was because the optimize feature didn't even show up until 5.
Yeah,
which is linked into that feature. Even like remade version of the game where they didn't put optimize in there, they had that feature developed already, so they can at least put the equip feature where it shows you what can and can't be equipped. But that came around when optimize came around, so that was Final Fantasy V, and we obviously didn't get that until the PlayStation. So 3 or 6 was the first time that we saw that feature.
Yeah.
No, what's stupid, and you wouldn't have noticed this unless you played the SNES version, or I pointed out, is Darkness, which was the original name of Soul Eater, wasn't in the North American version called Final Fantasy II. It was removed from the game for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it was some ESRB related reason or something like that. I could imagine why. I don't think that game's rated. I think it was before Mortal Kombat came out.
Yeah.
Because this game came out in 1991, correct? Yeah, so it would have been before the ESRB. So I don't think it was a rating reason for anything like that. But Darkness, Soul Eater, was not in the game. And the version you have is stupid.
All it does is make him a bit more powerful, but also still hurts him when he attacks.
Yeah.
But he can still only attack one enemy.
Yeah, which is why it's dumb.
So compared to the Final Fantasy III version was awesome.
It's still good against bosses, because when I looked at the formula, it doesn't look like defense is calculated in Darkness. It still isn't going to be great, because there's then there's a 1/2 being multiplied in there at some point, so that's going to limit how much damage it's going to do compared to how the old formula. But, against some early bosses, it's fine. If you only have one thing to target, you want to ignore its defenses and just use Darkness on it. There you go.
Yeah.
But Soul Eater is such a good move. Why would you nerf it? But then go and make the rest of the game easier anyway.
Very good question. But I'm playing it on hard mode, so we'll see.
I remember the DS version being ridiculously easy. So even on hard mode, you shouldn't have any trouble getting through it.
Yeah. We'll see about that. We'll see.
I was still laughing when you were fighting the Leviathan. And I told you, like, oh no, it's marginally easier than fighting the Bahamut. You're like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is way harder than the Bahamut. And then literally after you said that, it died in like 2 rounds earlier than you killed the Bahamut.
It was harder.
I think you just perceived it as being harder.
I guess. Or maybe it just
Plus,
had better
you couldn't make
RPG.
sense of what I was saying. It might have just been the way I worded it in chat. But I was also saying you had this unintended advantage of the classes you naturally liked randomly happen to be the classes that are good into the Bahamut fight.
Oh, I see.
Right? Like, you weren't specking for that fight. You just happened to have the classes that are good into it.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Leviathan, you did not have a setup that was good into the Leviathan.
Yeah, I guess.
And you still beat it 2 rounds faster.
Well, my problem at the end, I don't think I really did enough grinding before going to the end of the game, because I could have easily wiped if the what was it called? Cloud of Darkness?
Yeah.
If she had done 2 particle beams in a row, I would have been screwed.
I don't think she does. I think you hit the point where, like, the permanent cycle is just going to be particle beam and then slapping one of your people. And it just does that every single turn.
Right. But I'm just saying, if she had done that, and then before Ark could heal us all, she'd
you're talking
been
about
able
the
to do
next
it
turn.
again. Yeah, in the next turn.
I thought you were saying, like, because she gets to attack twice, that if she did 2 particle beams in the same turn.
No, I mean 2 turns in a row,
Okay.
without Ark getting to cast heal in between. Because she was at the end, that was all she was doing: particle beam slap, particle beam slap, particle. I think she did that 3 times.
I remember how
luckily,
salty you were a couple sessions ago when you went to go fight the Kunoichi and then you found out that she gets to attack 3 times.
Oh.
Like, what?
Yeah. Still beat her.
Yeah. It's almost like that 3rd attack offended you on some level.
I know. It's like, what? That's not fair. Come on. She should at least have to cast haste on herself before she can do that.
Haste? Okay, that you brought this up. It's such a weird magic as a spell because haste keeps jumping around until I think 5 is when it permanently ends up like that. But it keeps jumping around what type of spell it is, whether it's a black magic or a white magic. And then once the time mage is introduced in 5, I think it's permanently a time magic from there on out. But that may not be true, because I think there's certain later Final Fantasies where time magic's not a thing. And there's like a time when it's a green magic. Because green magic becomes a thing. I don't know. Haste is a weird spell. I can't decide where it wants to be.
Well, also, fast in Final Fantasy 1 is so much more useful.
Yeah.
Hmm?
It's so more useful. It's a black magic.
Yeah, because in Final Fantasy 1, when you cast fast on someone, they actually hit more times and do more damage.
Yeah.
In Final Fantasy 3, I don't think that's how haste works. I think all it does is gets you to act earlier in the round.
It raises your initiative, and it does actually have an effect on your hit count if you cast it on a melee fighter, but it's a weird formula where a lot of times it's negligible.
Yeah. It hardly made any difference. The only thing that it did that I could notice was that it raised initiative, and consistently the characters that had haste would go first.
Yeah, the higher the job level, the more you notice the difference. And the only time it really becomes noticeable is when you cast haste on a ninja, because the ninja can attack like 30 times or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hardly noticed it at all.
Yeah.
So I stopped using it because I was just like, okay, I don't even care. Plus, my guys were almost always going first anyway.
Yeah.
So it was
Well, it's
just
good
kind of
if
a
you
waste.
were able to cast haste on Arc, and only Arc.
I thought of
just had
doing
it-
that.
yeah.
That could have been useful, yeah. But even then, it wasn't. It wasn't worth losing the turn.
Yeah,
'Cause-
haste is cooler once, like, the game you're in now, through 6, when you have the ATB system, the active time battle, with the gauge, because it actually fills the gauge up faster while haste is active.
Yeah. That's nice. But yeah, I mean, if Arc, like on the first round, right, when an Arc doesn't need to heal yet, I would rather spend that round casting Holy or something,
Yeah.
right? Because then he could actually do some damage while he has a bit of, free time. He doesn't have to heal.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I think the only time anybody casts haste is when they have a ninja in that game. Because there's a whole strategy around just boosting up the ninja after he throws something, because you only have so many things you can throw. But throwing things when you're a level 99 ninja does like a fuck ton of damage. You can do over the damage cap by throwing something. So you basically start the battle by throwing some random object at the boss. And then, like the shurikens do a lot of damage, and you're supposed to collect those.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you just kind of boost the ninja and let him, like, DPS style attack the boss while everybody else does their thing.
He's kind of like what was that guy in Mystery Men that would throw like silverware?
That's actually kind of funny, because you have a ninja in the game you're playing now that does that. Once you get
throws
to
silverware?
the other Edge.
Uh-huh.
Which I don't know why they're both Edward. I think that might have been a mistranslation originally. I think he was supposed to be an Edgar, just like Figaro, because Edge sounds like, it would work for being short for Edgar.
Yeah.
And but Edge is a ninja. Yeah, Blue Raja. Blue Raja.
There you go.
Great character. I love Mystery Man. We should watch that on movie night sometime.
It's like throwing silverware.
Yeah. But when you go to, I want to say the Sylph Castle or whatever, like in the forest, Yang is like unconscious down there. Right? And after you rescue him, his wife will give you a spoon. And this spoon is just, it's supposed to be a knife. In the original game, it was a knife. It doesn't actually have a picture. I think the word means utensil.
Oh.
So it was just translated to spoon, and that's where the joke comes in. And it is a cooking utensil. It's like a ladle, and the other was supposed to be a butcher knife. And you hold on to it. And you should save it for the final boss, but you can save it for when you're in a pinch. You're supposed to throw the spoon at the final boss, and whatever enemy you throw the spoon at, he will not miss. It's the only thing that is going to be guaranteed to hit, and it will do 9,999 damage on whatever you throw it at.
Interesting.
And I think I made this statement before, but the spoon is like single-handedly the strongest object in a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah. Is that where the term Spoony Bard comes from?
Well, it comes from that game. No, he just he called Edward that because Edward was trying to marry Tilla's daughter.
Yeah. Spoon of Doom. Do you have to shout spoon just like the tick?
Like the tick, yeah.
When you throw it at him?
No, I don't think you have to, but you should.
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah.
I think when I get there.
I wonder if it's actually called the spoon in the version you're playing, though. It might have been corrected to knife.
Maybe. It would be funnier, though, if it was still spoon.
Yeah. I'd still refer to it as the spoon. That's what I grew up knowing, and it's like, it's funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a spoon at you.
Spoon of Doom. That's right.
Cut your heart out with a spoon. A spoon?
It's duller, you twit. It'll hurt more. Right?
Yeah. That's what I was going for.
I'm gonna spoon.
But yeah, no, it's good that you're finally on that one too. It's story wise, and mostly because the game is almost 100% story. It's designed to just feed you through this narrative path. It is my favorite Final Fantasy. I've played through it from start to end at least 20 times. I'm at the point that I've lost track.
Well, I think I played through it once.
I could, by memory, just navigate you from beginning to end without needing anything else.
Yeah. I think I played it through once, and that was probably 30 years ago. So, been a while.
Yeah, about when it came out.
And yet, I still remember some key elements. I mean, I'll never forget when Palom and Porum have to sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
I remember that.
There's actually
vividly.
two names that the version we have that's stuck and will always be the English translation for it came from Americans not understanding the fact that the Japanese don't have L's.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, Rydia, as it would look if you were going with the consistency of things, right? Or most people say Rydia, I do, is clearly, when you look at the Japanese translation of the name Lydia. Her name should have been Lydia. But it's not, so it's now forever Rydia. And Palam and Polam become Palam and Porum because there's no L, and they're spelt Porum and Porum. They're supposed to be twins, where the only difference is the O and the U.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
GMT said, someone said spoon. Yes, GMT, we found you a tall man to be the big spoon with you. He'll be at your house shortly.
Don't get her hopes up. That's cruel.
Sorry.
Yeah. Man, some of those Final Fantasy translations are weird, though. Like, in 6, I think I've brought this up before. Do you know what his name is, Sabin, in Japan?
No.
It's literally just fists. His name is, Fitsu, which just means fists. Or, like, their way of taking the word fist and saying it, using Japanese syllables. And, like, no, dude, Sabin is just such a cooler name.
Yeah. Well, I was saying I was watching this funny video about the Final Fantasy VI characters having a debate over who was the main character.
Yeah.
Edgar was like, well, I have the most lines, so clearly it's about me. But no, it's clearly Terra or Tina.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Square's decided that for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, it was obvious
Yeah.
when I played it that she was the main character. Like I said, I wanted to name my daughter Terra.
See, you'd think it should be obvious, but there are a lot of people who believe that Locke Cole is the main character.
Well, I wanted to name my son Locke. So.
Yeah. And that's not just here in the States. Like, in Japan, there was heavy debate over who was the main character. Was it Tina, as they would call her, or was it Locke?
Oh. Well, I thought Locke was the secondary main character.
Yeah, well, a good way to look at it, and a lot of times you have movies broken up this way, even though they don't play across from each other, because they have different love interests. Tina or Terra is the leading woman, and Locke is the leading man.
Yeah, but I saw it as, if you were to say, like, you know, give Oscars for, you know, the lead actor and the lead actress is definitely Terra and Locke, but
Terra's more important to the story.
Terra is the main character.
You start with her.
Yeah. Locke is the lead actor who's just only secondary to Terra.
Yeah.
to me.
But in many ways, the argument also comes down to who is the main character of Fifth Element. Right? And it's set up the same way because you have...
Bruce Willis.
What?
It's Bruce Willis.
Possibly. It could also be, what's her name? Lilu.
Yeah.
Who you actually follow her first. And there's also a lot of side segments that are just her. And she's, in many ways, more important to the plot. But she also wouldn't be able to get anywhere without Bruce Willis's character of Corbin Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the same arguments for Locke and Tara can be applied to Fifth Element as well.
Yeah, sure.
Even though it's the opposite in both ones, because obviously they market Corbin as being the main character, and Square markets Tara as being the main character. Like, you don't even have to break down the plot; the studio can tell you.
They sure saw Ruby Rod. Is he not the main character?
Man, well, he should be. It's the best part of the whole movie. Actually, I had my friend literally this morning before I went to sleep sent me a message. Duggar, he's on here sometime. And I'll read the message too because it's pertinent to this. And there's no personal information in there. And he says, I could say with certainty that Fifth Element is my favorite Chris Tucker film.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's like, yeah, I at this point, you don't even refer it to as a Bruce Willis film. It's a Chris Tucker film. Because he stole the show.
Great. Should have given him the Leela Dallas multi-pass line for no particular reason.
Yeah. Actually, talking about who's the main character too, that makes me want to play Dissidia Final Fantasy. I just wish that the one for Steam, which is the arcade version, NT, was not the way it is.
No, really?
Yeah, so the first Dissidia was on PSP. And it was horrible from a competitive standpoint. It was an arena fighter that was also an RPG. So you couldn't even really be competitive in that game until you unlocked all the items, leveled up all your characters to 99, and equipped people with the right items so they would be competitively viable. Not really good from a standpoint of a fighting game. Okay from a standpoint of it connects Final Fantasy stories together, and you get to play in like a 3D kind of arena hack and slash format, right? And I really enjoyed that game. I wish the Steam game was more like that. Dissidia Final Fantasy NT, which is the arcade version of the game, which is also free to play. You can permanently buy characters, but they're on rotation. Is more competitively viable. You don't have to level your characters. Everybody's stats are where they're supposed to be. And you build a team of 3, where it's like, or you can play with people. But you play the character you're going to play, and then you bring 2 NPCs with you. Or you can play with 2 other people. And you go into a skirmish in an arena against another person or team as your favorite Final Fantasy characters, the representatives of each game. And it just doesn't have the flair that the original have. Like, I still enjoy it, but the combat's watered down as well. Because the original, it was like, have you ever seen or played Kingdom Hearts?
I've seen it. I've not played.
And you see how active the combat is in Kingdom Hearts, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that kind of combat. With like aerial gliding and multiple jumps and like attacking and shooting at your opponent. It's pretty like real time, fairly active.
Yeah.
And NT is not so active. It's still got some platforming. It's still like run up to their face, but it's slow. I don't know. It's lacking a lot of flair.
So you can only play against other people. You can't play against like the computer.
No, there's like an arcade mode and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And I think this one has a story.
I'm looking at it. Has a what?
I think it has a story too. I don't remember exactly. I know for a fact there's an arcade mode. It's been a while since I've touched it. I have it downloaded on my hard drive.
Hmm. Well, I don't really like fighting games. Is it a fighting game, basically?
Yeah, it's an arena fighter, right? It's third person. Character runs around the arena. It doesn't play like a 2D fighter or something. It's more like a hack and slash game.
Oh.
And the character plays roughly the way you'd expect it to play. Like if you're Cloud, you're gonna mostly be running at people, swinging your sword. You have a blade beam, but you have to use meter to do it and stuff like that. For the most part, you're a melee fighter that's quick. If you're Squall, you could do some melee, but you're also going to be shooting people with your gun blade. If you're playing as Terra, you're going to be throwing spells at people because she's more of a battle mage. Characters play the way you expect them to play.
Yeah.
And like I showed you that picture, they made Cloud of Darkness pretty hot in that game.
Oh, yeah. Somebody sent me a picture of her. Can't remember
Yeah,
who.
I DM'd you.
I know you did.
I will take full credit for that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow. She's a bit different from the way she was in Final Fantasy 3.
Still has the tentacles.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah.
Pretty sexy.
They have like see, that actually would have spoiled it for you too, right? Because I think at one point in 2, you weren't sure if the Emperor was actually the final boss or not.
Mm-hmm.
But if you played Dissidia, the Emperor is the villain representative of Final Fantasy 2.
Oh, okay.
So that would have spoiled that, I guess. And Firion is obviously the representative for 2.
I don't even remember, like, who was the final boss of Final Fantasy 2? I don't even
It was
remember.
the Emperor.
It was the Emperor.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Cool. Hey, Rick, how's it going? Rick, Wild Rick has joined the chat.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. GOG is doing a Valentine's Day sale. Oh, look at that. Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition. $10, 80% off.
That's not bad.
Now, yeah, I feel like that's better than the last time I played. Oh, look, Morrowind, $375. I feel like I already have that. Maybe not.
Probably. Morrowind's fun. A lot of people can't play it, though. Like, I don't know if it was you I was talking to, somebody, but if you didn't play it back then, it's kind of jarring graphically and mechanically for people to play now. To me, it's still my favorite Elder Scroll game, but...
Yeah, I never really got into the Elder Scrolls, so yeah, I probably would have trouble getting into it.
Yeah.
Just because it's not aged particularly well. in
Yeah,
my
I don't
opinion.
think mechanically it's too bad. But I do think the graphics are a big turnoff to a lot of people. Very blocky. Ugly faces.
Yeah. Man, I'll have to go through this list. It's huge. Anyway, I've got so much stuff in my wish list, both on Steam and on my Switch.
Yeah.
And it would be so nice if some of them would go on sale.
Oh, I thought it'd be so nice if some viewer were to buy them for me.
Oh, or that. But no, I'm just I'm not buying them until they go on sale. So I was just thinking, gosh, a Valentine's Day sale. That's a great idea. Why doesn't Steam and Switch do that?
I don't know.
That'd be great.
Honestly, don't know.
King's Quest 1 through 8 are all on sale. Cool.
I know like every game I'm playing has Valentine's events going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Animal Crossing's got one, Fantasy Star's got one. Like everything's got a Valentine's event. And I think it's because they actually celebrate Valentine's Day in Japan.
They do?
Yeah, they got 2 days for it, right? There's Valentine's Day and there's White Day is the name of the other one. And on one day, which I believe is Valentine's Day, the guys give chocolates to the girls they like. And on the second day following up White Day, the girls give chocolates to guys in return.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a nice little, like, cultural practice, like a tradition.
So are you giving anyone chocolates?
That is none of your business.
Oh, sorry. Well, all right then.
Yeah. That was, was it Ace Ventura at the very end? And he's like, hey, Ace, you got any more of that gum? And he's like, that's none of your damn business. You're a weird guy, Ace.
Interesting. Riven, the sequel to Myst. 50% off. Good game, but it takes a lot of patience. Or a walkthrough.
Crosses are like that, Day. Get to maybe know if a girl likes you. Well, you could also maybe know if a girl likes you if she liked the fact that you gave her chocolates.
Or she could give you chocolates on
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. Who's to say? I mean,
Yeah, they only do
never
it
been-
because of tradition. You guys could exchange it on the same day, anytime.
yeah. Girls can give guys presents on
Oh, man.
Valentine's Day.
I think this was before, like the year before I knew Buck. You want to hear about, kind of like a shitty thing that I did? That
Sure.
I normally don't regret anything, but I feel a little bit bad about this. Right?
Okay.
So, back in 7th grade, I basically wasn't interested in dating anyone. I was just kind of like too consumed in my own world, like making stuff. I was always working on a project.
hmm
Basically at any time in my life. And there was this girl that was pursuing me for like the entire first semester. She was like the captain of our cheerleading squad or something like that. I don't remember. She was always wearing a cheerleading uniform, I know that, and the rest of the girls were crowding around her. And she would just like follow me around. She kept trying to go out on a date with me, and at the time I just did not care. Especially
7th
her
grade?
being a grade older than me. She was in the 8th grade. After that grade, I didn't see her again. And yeah, so she pursued me this whole time. And I was just busy doing my own stuff. And eventually, on Valentine's Day, she came up. And this is the part that made me feel the shittiest about this in retrospect. And she knew I didn't like normal stuff. So she came up and gave me a flower. And it was a rose dyed black. And the piece of shit that I am, I threw it on the ground and stomped it out with my boot. And she never bothered me again after that. But like, here's the thing is, too, it's just, you know, I was not interested in dating somebody at the time. But like, she was pretty hot. I probably should have just went out with her. Like,
But
if
you were
I knew
12,
my younger
right?
self, I'd probably kick the shit out of him for what happened.
Yeah, but you know, you were 12,
Yeah,
and boys don't
mature as fast as girls.
mature,
do. And she was a
especially
year older.
like, yeah, especially like sexually. A 12-year-old boy is like 1,000 miles away from a 13-year-old girl,
Yeah.
right? In terms of so.
Yeah,
wouldn't
like,
be
I
too hard.
understand it, but, like, the way I handled it was pretty shitty. Because I think she
Look.
cried as she walked away.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even
Yeah.
the not being interested part. I think, again, I remember how I felt back then. I was perfectly understanding about not being interested. I kind of would like kick the shit out of me for that response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Phew.
No, I'm
Well,
not right in
I
the
guess
head.
you got your message across.
I
at
did,
least.
yeah.
God damn.
You think that the time that I hit her outside the side of the head with an industrial-sized rubber band from like 50 feet away would have got the message across?
Guess not.
Yeah.
What is GMT talking about? Because Valentine's Day is February 14th.
Yeah.
What is she talking about with April 14th and March 14th?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I do know, what is it, 2 days from now? Which, I don't know, I'll probably draw something for it, maybe tomorrow. Just because I'll be busy on Cross's stream on Friday. Is a holiday coming up right before Valentine's Day. And it is the Lunar New Year. Year of the Ox.
Oh.
Or cow, or, just bovine in general. You're probably going to
Yeah.
see a lot of people drawing, like, cowgirls, and not the kind that immediately come to your head if you live in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, I like the Lunar Year. I like it more than the Julian New Year, because the Julian New Year seems kind of arbitrary. All New Years really are. But following, like, a celestial body just makes a bit more sense. I usually participate in some
you
type
mean
of celebration for the Lunar New Year.
In terms of how you
Maybe
break
I'll
the
stream
months up?
something.
In terms of how you break the months up?
Yeah. I mean, because even our months were originally based off of lunar cycles in the first place. Month and moon have the same root.
Yeah. So what are you doing? You're drawing
I'll
pictures
probably
of
make a
cowgirl?
picture, something. Maybe I'll stream as well. Who knows?
Okay.
But I do, before we leave, want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. If it's one that you respect. There are a lot of New Years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, happy year of the moo. Year of the moo. year of the cow, I guess.
Every year is Year of the Moon.
That's right.
March 14th is like Valentine's Day for men. Oh, okay.
I thought it was March 15th, the Ides of March.
Well, I mean, if you're fine with your present being stabbed in the back, sure.
That's right.
And Mardi Gras is next week. Well, have fun with that.
Cool.
I don't think is there going to be a Mardi Gras?
That's a good question.
Well, I mean, it is in the South. And typically...
GMT, it's Steak and BJ Day.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I think Louisiana,
Yeah,
much like Texas, really hasn't closed much down. There probably will be Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And there's probably going to be a bunch of people bitching about it, and that's going to be great.
How long is Mardi Gras? Because it's,
I think it's like a week-long
it's supposed to be
festival,
one
right?
day. What's that?
I think it's usually celebrated as a week-long festival, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it literally means Fat Wednesday, right?
Yeah, but
Fat
I think
Tuesday.
people celebrate
Tuesday.
the days around it, too.
Right. It was always Mardi Gras, says Mr. Squeakers.
Yeah. Fat Tuesday.
Fat Tuesday, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess I celebrate it for a week or so. I actually went to New Orleans either the week before or after. I think it might have been the week after Mardi Gras. That is what I would recommend. If maybe not this year, but in the future, if you want to go to New Orleans, don't go on Mardi Gras. I mean, it's just.
Well, go near the end if you want to pick up a lot of really drunk and hungover chicks that are willing to make very questionable decisions.
Sure, I guess. But frankly, if you go the very next week, you're going to find the exact same thing.
Probably.
Just as many drunk, desperate chicks. Believe me.
Well, even if you go, like, during the week, it's better to be outside of the city and commute in through, like, public transit. And just walk while you're in town.
Yeah. But anyway, I went, I think it was a week after, and I stayed in the city, and it was nice. It was really great.
I
Had
think
a fun
that's what we
time.
need, though, is historically most holidays aren't single days, right? Societies tend to have less of them, but they tend to last about a week, anywhere between 3 to about 10 days, given the holiday. And it makes it, there's like a festival around whatever you're doing. A lot of New Year's tend to be 3-day celebrations. Sometimes they'll be a week long. A harvest festival will be a week long, or the Irish tradition, Samhain, that Halloween's based off of, is a 3-day festival that starts when we start it. And I think having less holidays, but extending them and making them more events are better for people, right? It actually makes it a vacation from the norm and a break for things, an actual holiday, as opposed to when you have these things happening all the time, it becomes a norm, you have to miss some of it, and it really doesn't do much for you.
Yeah. That's why people like 3-day weekends so much.
Yeah. Breaks up the monotony. And with that, I think it's time to say goodbye. Thanks, everyone, for listening, whether it was live or later in the future. If you stuck around this long, please do consider possibly at some time supporting the show through any of the donation links provided. Or if you're listening and there are no links, you can just PayPal directly to paypal.me/ImADametal, IMMADAMETAL. Something I need to plug because I keep forgetting to. I think we went like the last 5 or so without me plugging any way to support the show. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye.